Get quiet. Go on and get crunk. Head back to Longview, Kelly popping trunk. I ain't even tripping. Riding and I'm sipping. Let me come through 4-4 steady tipping. On that new lap. Watch the trunk crack. Let me sit sideways, CB running back. Maybe AP, maybe AD. I ain't even tripping cause we some athletes. Messing with Smitty in the summertime. He get pissed if we don't make our time. But we gon' get it cause we gotta finish. Nebraska Horn Hustlers, man, we diminished. Put them boys little, paint like a skittle. I ain't even tripping, I ain't never double dribble. Cause I'm a player from the Himalaya. Let me sit sideways, man. Maybe back door, maybe fall off. Sipping codeine cause I gotta kill a cough. Let me sit sideways in the big Benz. Oh, you boys, they my brothers, they my friends.
All right. Welcome into Fullback U, and man, want to say thank you to Mr. Wayland Cubit. He's running for Oklahoma County Sheriff. We're gonna get into all that. He led us here at the Eastside Community Center with my brothers. First got Rufus Alexander. Ruf, how you feeling?
Feeling all right. Feeling good. Nice little rainy weather today. I love that.
Yeah, a little relaxed day. PJ Mills, how are you, sir? You sound like you're under the weather.
Yeah, I'm all right.
A little bit. You straight?
Yeah, I'm all right.
All right, good. Roy, Superman, how are you?
I'm chilling, man.
Yeah. Well, you seem like you're chilling. You're a lot more calm, Roy, than you have been on Twitter because you've been, I guess, seen as three different people. You've been a coach at North Carolina lately.
Oh, yeah.
You were now an actor, I believe, or something like that.
Screenwriter.
A screenwriter.
Think, yeah.
You were a white guy. How you feeling?
No, I think he's black.
Oh, is he a black guy?
He's a black dude.
Okay.
He's
I
a
was
black
gonna say,
dude.
we can't have Black History Month. They're trying to.
I guess
change
we all
you
look
white and
alike.
stuff. Yeah. I'm reversing my vitiligo, so we gotta stay black on that.
Dude,
But
his thing though was funny.
it is hilarious.
He's like, bro, it's not like we look alike or anything
all.
like that. And the guy argued him. Yeah,
It's
good
Roy
one, buddy.
Williams.
I'm like, come on, man. This is a joke.
At least it's not the receiver from Texas. Yeah. We're doing a Black History Month pod. I think there's been two issues that have happened in Oklahoma. One happened on our campus. One happened in Newkirk High School. Journalism professor drops an N-bomb, makes a horrible analogy. The announcer at Newkirk calls girls' hair disgusting, calls their names disgusting. What do you think about that, Ruben?
Well, I mean, the professor one, I mean, this is kind of, par for the it's par for the course, as far as, it's all over the country. It's not just the University of Oklahoma. It's other different places. And I think Oklahoma suffers from a lot of things that other minorities at other different colleges that go up in kind of like the Rust Belt and different upper, like northern schools, like I say Iowa State, they have those same cultural things that happens at Oklahoma. Where the places where minorities are at, it's a little bit different. How the approach of it is very different. I mean, you can go and look at Missouri, Colorado, those schools. They have a lot of those same situations and stuff. So, it's tough. As far as a high school thing, it's just, there's a lot of little rural pockets that's all over Oklahoma. You go in a lot of different states. You have some of those same things. There's stuff that you can see all over Twitter where Twitter and social media now just puts a bigger eye on it because somebody can now video it and they can send it out to the masses and nobody can control the narrative because it is what it is and you get it as in its rawest form and it's all over the place. And so now people are having to answer for it. Before you look at it, white media never had to answer for it because they can say it and it can stay in their own community, in their own pocket right there. Now the whole entire world a lot of times get to realize and see the racism or the racial connotations behind things. That guy was a national story at OU, and OU just, you can't put a muzzle on it anymore because of the power of social media.
Yeah. All right, PJ, do we have a race problem here at OU?
It's a bad look, and it's not the first time. It's a bad look, and you don't want that. It's wrong. No matter where it is. And it needs to be called out. It needs to have something be done about it. Not just lip service, something be done about it. These are people who are supposed to be teaching you, and these are the type of words that are coming out of their mouth. There's a better way to get your point across than saying that. Yeah. And we all went to OU. We all love OU. But OU's had too many of these incidents dealing with race going national. Too many. So Oklahoma has to do a better job. A lot of people are saying, well, we get to the Final Four, but we can't play. That's not the biggest issue. The issue is you don't need your name bad on campus where people don't want to come here.
Yeah.
right?
We're recruiting young black kids.
You're trying to recruit people to come here, and if you keep seeing things like this, remember a few years ago, I forgot what fraternities it was. They were on the bus, a fraternity and a sorority. They were talking about hang you from a tree, you'll never sign with me. I'm talking about murder and hanging people. I mean, listen, in no way am I saying everybody in Oklahoma is saying this, but there's too many incidents that are happening, and it's not a coincidence. Yeah. It's becoming a real problem.
Well, and I just want the equal treatment, PJ, and none of us would ever say anything, but if we were announcers at a high school basketball game and we had said some shit derogatory to white people like that, we would have, sir, can you be escorted out right now? Yeah. Can you get your ass up out of here? Because you do not call our girls' names disgusting in front of us. What?
And the thing about that, obviously he was wrong. Disgusting? Who are you to determine what their name is? Right? You're supposed to call their name, not evaluate their name.
That's terrible, but you're right. You're right.
But then here's the other thing. We're talking so much about, I hear a lot of people from Newkirk say they know him. Or a lot of people from Newkirk saying he's 80. Okay. What about these 15-year-olds? These are kids. Yeah. You know how young people, especially young ladies at certain times they're not gonna drop that. They're not gonna forget that. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes people have identity issues if somebody, says things about them. I hope those young ladies are strong and proud and can deal with it. But that was irresponsible and it was wrong. And I'm seeing too many people from Newkirk saying he meant difficult instead of disgusting. That sounds like a word track that they've come up with. Yeah. How do you know what he meant to say?
Well, let's just
wrong is wrong.
Let's learn from it, PJ. Those people that feel that same way, when you read a black name from now on, let's not judge that as disgusting ever again. When you judge a black name, I deal with black names all the time. I may mispronounce them. That don't mean that I think her name is disgusting. It just doesn't. Roy, what's your thoughts on that? And I want to know how you and T. Marsh would have reacted if a journalism professor would have dropped an M-bomb.
I honestly don't know. Honestly, thank God I wasn't in that class. You know what I mean? I just, just to be honest, I mean, it's just, I feel that people, I mean, the announcer, him being 80, that's no excuse. I mean, hell, we just got done having an African-American president as, the commander-in-chief of the United States of America. Like, I mean, at what point do we move past, you know what I mean, the color barrier? I think it's sad, and I feel that people get just too common, right? You know what I mean? And get too comfortable feeling like they can, say certain things. Like, for instance, the professor. I mean, you can't relate to the word that you said in class because you didn't walk in the streets. I'm walking in this parking lot, you know what I mean? I see a whole bunch of stuff that I identified with in my neighborhood. You know what I mean? The Newport butts in the street.
The condom wrappers.
The condom wrappers. The Black and Milds. No there's brawls. There's a brawl out there. I mean, it's just dirty. Hell, I found a penny. You know what I mean?
But it's life. It was on head, so you pick it up.
You looking for change. You know what I mean? So it's like they can't identify with that. Mm-hmm. They and on another note, it's we as a father. You send your kids to these schools to be educated by these professors that come highly recommended. They're vetted by the school. I mean, that says a lot about the school too. Even though you can't control everybody, but that comes down on the school too. You know what I mean? If I send my kids to the University of Oklahoma, I expect them to get a good education. I expect them to get molded into the human being that they want to come and what they're learning from the professor, and these professor is dropping that type of language. You know what I mean? Yes, like you said, PJ, OU has taken way too many hits as far as when it comes to race. You know what I mean? It's just every time we're moving past a situation, it seems like every time we're moving past a situation, it feels like they're taking about 15 more steps back. You know what I mean? And then you try to get back on that traction. Here comes another incident. I mean, it's not going to be the last one. I promise you that. You know what I mean? Because then again, you have the young kid that walked around campus with a black face. You know what I mean? It's just like, at what point I mean, is your ignorance going to stop and treat each other? Because I promise you this. I mean, they were calling for Joe Mixon's head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, and I'm in no shape or form am I even advocating for what Joe did. Joe was all the way in the wrong. Like, I mean, personally, yes. I mean, I'm happy that Bob gave him another chance. I would have kicked him off the team, and that's no disrespect. But as a man, you should never put your hands on a woman. You know what I mean? And it was on videotape.
And vice versa.
Yeah, most definitely. Right. For sure, though. She should never went in his face. I get that. You know what I mean? But as a man,
oh yeah,
I mean, you don't swing. Like, you don't swing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I mean, he most definitely did a girl like Fury did Wilder. You know what I mean? Like, that ain't right.
Yeah, he was wrong.
So I mean, it's just, and then the announcer. I mean, it's just, there's no excuse because you're 80 years old. I'm sorry. I mean, just because you were back in that time. You know, I mean, it just shows your true colors of who you really are and what you think about these African American students playing in the game.
And you look at it though, because I mean, I think the name thing kind of hit home because work-wise, a lot of people get turned down job-wise because if you see the name, you relate the name, how the name is spelling, and all that stuff with the race and all that stuff. So you kind of look at it. It plays a bigger role than people really want to say, because if somebody has that kind of intent or that in their hearts, if that person was an employer, he would look at that name and he would immediately pass over because he views it as such, as disgusting.
Oh, that's
and there's more people like him in the world, in the world of like
judging
hiring
that,
people and all that stuff, and that plays a bigger role than just a little small part, little pocket of where that happened. It's a bigger, more nationwide thing. I think you can look at somebody's name being a certain way because, like I said, you come from the lineage of, you know, your family was like your ancestors were slaves, and their names were totally different whenever they were somewhere else, and they come here and they're now a Smith or a John Smith or just a different name. It's no more of the African heritage name, Nigerian names or anything like that. So a lot of it changes as far as if you look, like just Heinz, like you look back, and it's just the name thing plays a bigger part of it all.
It does.
And that I don't think that, I mean, I know he gets and understands, and I don't think he meant what he said. And the people are trying to cover the whole thing.
Well, let's talk about that and let's get a little more in detail. I know the fans are going to want to know because y'all were all popular athletes on campus. I know the answer to this. I've had my experiences. Did you ever feel different? Did you feel less than? I know when I felt terrible when frats wouldn't let us in any day but Saturday.
You know, the thing about it is,
not even on Saturdays,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
You got to know somebody.
I've dealt with this, but going through high school, because I went to pretty much a predominantly black public school whenever I was in all the way going up into high school. And so when I went a freshman going into the school, Westminster, all the black kids that went to school played sports, and it was predominantly white. And if you're the black kids, if their parents wasn't surgeons or something like that, they were not in the school. So it was just a different how you move. We all sat at the table, you know, together. We had a few guys on the football team that was really cool. And I mean, you know, the ones that would, you know, throw stones either other way, they was ready to down in the fight with us whenever something would go down. So so private school was a little bit different, kind of prepared me a little bit more for how the setting was at OU. So I was able to blend in both ways. I guess whenever I got on campus, I never had a problem getting into parties and stuff like that because I mean,
you were social though. You knew a lot of people, Rufus.
Yeah,
so
I knew a lot of people,
social.
but it was different though because, like I said, whenever you go to the door and some of your friends are outside and they don't want to let them in, and you kind of like, man, bro, why the hell you not let my homies in or whatever? Right. And so you know, it's like they have like a certain amount of number of black people they're gonna let in, boop, 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 and that's
We're
it.
at 3, okay?
And, you know,
there's one more, okay?
And it's like kind of like that's it. You know, it gives you it's a weird feeling, man. And then you're in college, so it's trying to maneuver your way through college is is difficult as it from itself and on its own. Getting into college, just trying to navigate as a true freshman, but trying to navigate and find your pocket of where you're gonna be at, because Greek life is different. Black Greek life in Oklahoma is different than Black Greek life in Louisiana. They have most of the parties. They have the bigger Greek houses. You can go southern down the street, Grambling over here. I mean, so whenever you're going and you're partying at a Greek house, if your flavor is I want to be with my brothers and stuff, the party is as big as it gets when it comes to going to Greek life. Whenever they're having a party after a game, Oklahoma, it's not a. I mean, you got to go to the student union.
Yeah, stop down.
Yeah, you got to go to the student union, or you have to go
it's
to
a Kappa party at the union. It's a Q party at the union.
Yeah, you have to go to the union, or you have to go to Perfect Swing. You have to go to Perfect Swing to go
fam,
for those parties.
over Highway 9.
ROTC?
No.
ROTC?
ROTC, yeah.
No, Perfect Swing though, off Highway 9.
That was my first job in
Okay.
Oklahoma. Was at Perfect Swing.
Yeah, so I mean, you had all. That's what we went to go and party at. If you wanted to go and be with people like you and it was, I mean, you was charged to get in that. The other parties, it was free. You walk in and just go in. Yeah. Beer free, all that's free. That's not how it was.
Before we get into it, PJ, I know exactly how you feeling because I walked into a fucking beta party. By the way, shout out to old girl. She was awesome. Tennis player too. So anyway, yeah. As soon as you open the door, she opens shit. It's like, I'm the token here. I'm the only one at the date party, huh? No other football players got invited. But anyway, PJ, you were there early 90s. What was it like? Offensive words, experiences? Let the fans know.
Yeah, we ain't play that.
Yeah.
We ain't play that off the rip. We ain't play that. It's respect. Respect given. You know, if it's not given, then I don't deal with you. I didn't really mess with the fraternities like that. Just different.
Yeah.
Just different. A couple times we went to the Fijis and played basketball, maybe like 2 or 3 times, but we ain't really fool with them like that.
Well, date parties and experiences parties like that, was the party similar to what they were talking about?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same 3 or 4 spots. It was house party somewhere. If somebody had, something off campus or, some dorms or something, mostly
Don
off campus.
Pablo's, what was the other one?
Tulio's was the spot. Tulio's, listen, see, when we was there, Tulio's was the spot.
The thing who was it? It was John. It was
J-Dub.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. He would throw the parties. John Mahoney.
Oh, John Mahoney?
Mahoney would throw all the parties and stuff at different spots and stuff that have all the black people there.
Yeah.
John was really that was the guy, man. John would after every spring game, him and Lexi would throw all the parties and stuff and get them all kind of
still at
organized
OU.
and stuff.
He's
He's
in
still
the
at
ticket
OU.
office.
He's in ticket, yeah.
For the culture.
He was the guy when it came to parties.
That's awesome. Roy, any story? I know you got all of them, but just talk about that. What you can talk about.
Especially coming from Cali.
Absolutely.
No, well, here's the deal. So I went to a few parties, but after trying to get into the Fiji house one time, and they're like, "Nope, you can't come in."
Dog, the worst. You're a top 10 pick, fam. And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It was even before that.
But still, you're on your way there.
I mean, and I think that was probably that was like around the 2000 run.
They should never be saying
so-
no during the 2000 run.
So
Should never be saying no to
after,
people.
yeah, most definitely. But so they denied me, and I was like, "F it." I mean, cool,
Never
no
again.
problem, never again.
Never
I never
again.
went back over there. The next time I ever went back over there was I got invited to the phone party after I got drafted to the Cowboys, and I had a bunch of my Cali boys with me. So they got their world rocked. I mean, in a good way, because they had never experienced something like that. We from the hood. I mean, I could say like hood, but you know what I'm saying? It was not
College
like
campus.
you know what I mean.
People,
so they so we went to that phone party. They had a blast. You know what I mean? They went crazy. I mean, that was my first time ever going to a phone party too. But being drafted, you know what I mean? You can't do nothing stupid, which I never did anything stupid anyway. But so that was a great experience. So we didn't have no problems there. But the Fiji house, they were, like, nah, y'all can't come in, because it was a bunch of us. It was like me, Torrance, and some other players, whatever. But yeah, so those are my experiences. And after that, you know what I mean? Then it was fine. I mean, I had my interactions with the female race, and
well, let's get into that.
We had a good
But hold
time.
on, the thing about it is, though, what's crazy is we may think that it's not to say I know we don't think that it's just just to Oklahoma, because I remember being in Louisiana, going back home and partying with my friends, and on Tigerland is the same way. You have your country bars and you have your black bars.
Yeah,
you have your black clubs. I mean, it's split. That's Louisiana. I mean, when I grew up in Louisiana, I mean, when I was from first grade all the way up into 8th grade, when I rode the bus home, black people sat in the back, white people sat in the front. And that's Louisiana. That's the late 90s. That's how it was, though. And nobody really questioned it. So I think we know it's a nationwide thing, man. And that the race thing, bro, like I've dealt with that. Like I said, when I got into high school, it was a different world.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know it coming into it because, you're a young kid. You never have to really experience it because you're always around your peers, people that look like you. And then I'm around people that don't look like me.
Yeah.
So first girl, that ever like talk to that try to holler at me or whatever, they try to put it on me that I'm trying to get with the girl. I'm like, nah, it wasn't even like that. Her parents, came to school saying he's trying to do this with my girl and all this and that stuff. I said, man, nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
They went through a whole test thing to prove that nothing didn't happen I can stay in school.
Yeah.
Wow.
And my high school coach said, if they kick him out of school, you have to kick her out of school. And if y'all kick her out of school, he said, I'm taking my whole coaching staff and we leaving. And that's a white guy putting his neck on the line for me.
Real.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just like that. Boom. He said, my whole coaching staff is going to leave. Well, nothing happened and all this and that stuff. We believe him. He's like, you believe him now after the fact, after you had to go to a doctor and all this and that stuff.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And nothing happened.
is crazy.
And that
No,
happened to me in high school.
same thing. But before, because I want to get more into that, but at a school I used to work at, I was helping one of the soccer programs. The coach takes the team out for a movie, invites me. I don't even ride the bus with him. Administration hits him up. The money. Did you know JD was at the movies with your girls? Well, yeah, coach. We invited him there. Why is it different when I'm invited? Why would it be different if I'm alone in movies? You really? I mean, what? I've worked with how many kids, Roy? And if anything, the coach looked. I was trying to holler at her, but anything. But no, I'm just playing. But just that stereotype.
Yeah.
Of we can't even be alone, or we can't go do the normal things that an adult male asked me to come watch a movie with him, and just because I'm in the same vicinity. But beyond that,
it's crazy because their parents trust you enough to train them, but you can't. Yeah.
Can't socialize.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
And to go on about your high school. See, it was different for me in high school because we had over 100 different nationalities at my.
I've seen your high school picture. It's diverse as hell.
It's like we ain't. I mean, now they were black people hung here, Hispanics hung here, the Asians hung over there, Native Americans hung over here, the whites hung up in the back.
Still,
you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. So it was very, very diverse. Hell, we even at my school we had a Rainbow Pride Club. You know what I mean? For the LGBTQ community. I mean, it was. Dude, we were so diverse. So when coming to Oklahoma, yes, it was.
That's what I want to get into.
Yeah.
So first day, exactly. First day, let's do it. So you thinking OU's one thing. You went on your visit, right? So, Ruf, you show up day one. We walk into class. What the fuck is going through your mind? Is this what you thought it was?
For me, I thought it was what I thought it was because of like from where I came from. I mean, I guess coming doing public school and doing private school kind of, like I said, prepared me for whatever came. Now, if it would have been like as diverse as Cali, that would have been a shell shock for me. Yeah. Like even when I went on Austin, when I went to took a visit to Texas, man, it was a shell shock because it was so many people in Austin, and I'm coming from just black people and white people, it's just banned. It's just separate. And so whenever I walked on the campus, got into class, I mean, I seen a few people that were cool that I knew, football players that I was cool with, and that's kind of how I vibed. I just kind of, stayed and vibed where I was wanted or where I was, where people were cool at.
Yeah,
somebody wasn't cool with me. I mean, to me, the whole racial thing don't bother me so much because if you're not cool with me, I'm
out the way.
Come on, man, I'm out the way, bro. It ain't got nothing to do with me.
Yeah, but if you disrespectful about
if you disrespect you, then there's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Then there's a problem. But if you go out your way to be disrespectful, that's it. But if you give me the vibe you ain't cool, this didn't never bothered me like that. I mean, SAE, I didn't get let into a SAE party. Beta's always let me into their parties.
Jacob Rice, shout out, brother.
Yeah. So, but the SAE never let me into. I never went back to the house. Whatever. I don't give a damn.
PJ, what was it like day one?
It was different because I came on Blue Review on my recruiting trip.
Okay.
And it wasn't like it was not like it was on Blue Review.
Yeah, it was.
Blue Review was different.
Jesus Shuttlesworth on your visit.
It was like,
he got game.
that was the That was a different type of party.
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
cool.
I totally understand. So was campus? I mean, and you're VA as well. So what'd you think? I mean, was it? Did you think it would be diverse? Did you feel? What'd you feel like day one?
I'm always perceptive. I try to be aware of my surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
Just one, I'm from Virginia, so I'm from the southeast side of Virginia. So most black high schools, elementary. There were white people there, but it was mostly black high schools and black environment. But I was raised never to judge anybody based off of their color. Be proud of who you are, and don't take nothing from nobody, no matter their color.
Yep,
you know what I'm saying? So that's how that went. But it was a change going to Enid.
I believe that.
You know what I'm saying? It was a change going to Enid.
Yeah.
Because listen, there's nice people up there.
Oh, absolutely.
There's
awesome.
Just too much land, so much land spread out.
Nothing to do.
Yeah.
But
you know what I'm saying?
trouble.
It was nothing
Downtown
to do.
Enid is probably some just old
good
buildings.
Good people there, supportive of the football team. Show you respect after you're no longer playing anymore, college or whatever. Really good people up there. It was just nothing to do. And I was from an area where there was always something to do.
Always.
So hit DC, you can go to different places. There was nothing to do in Enid. So I'm not knocking the people. I was just bored out of my mind. So when I went to OU, it still wasn't home, but it was still more to do.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And back then, everybody came to Norman. See, probably around y'all time, a lot of them was probably going to the city.
Yeah, but they still would.
Right.
They be, hey, I'm gonna act like I'm Rufus and Roy.
When I first got there, they didn't even have
homeboys
BET.
acting like they was homeboys on the team.
Yeah.
My freshman year, we didn't even have BET in Norman.
Man.
Dang.
Cable Ray? No Cable Ray?
What you know about Cable Ray?
Dude, we had to listen to
Hey,
1140.
one time for
We had
Cable
to
Ray.
listen to 1140. Wasn't it 1140, whatever the
Yo.
radio station
Yeah.
was?
Yo.
Shout out to Cable
1148.
Ray.
Cable Ray,
He's a
fam.
legend.
Yeah.
Legendary.
He's a legend.
Fucking, I'm talking about chords after chord. Hey, you got the long cord.
man.
You had one splitter. They went to 3 different rooms. fam.
Yeah, bro.
My God.
He hooked us up at whenever me, Zach, and Bird lived together. Never paid a bill ever.
Damn.
Don't come back and get me.
Yeah, not me at all. It was everybody. But anyway, Roy,
funny.
day one, talk about it. What was it like?
It was different. I mean, it was like, for me, it was like shit got real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think I was 17 when I stepped on campus. So I mean, we were just clicked up, basically. I was with my boys. I was with my team. And I swear to God, we got so close. Especially during the 99 season, 98, I mean, we had a lot of bad apples. They were doing bad things. I knew I didn't want to be a part of that. But so after they got ran out, I mean, I just felt like the team just got closer. And I just hung out around my teammates. I stayed to myself, like you. I stayed back. I observed, like, nope. Like I ain't doing none of that.
You don't want to smoke in your dorm? Nah, I'm good.
Nah, you know what I mean?
We going to this party. They got tons of kids. Here's my thing. I was so scared of getting in trouble.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I kind of just stayed to myself. I did go to some parties, but that's why my DVD collection was immaculate, because every Tuesday I would go up to Walmart and go buy some more DVDs, and I would stay in the room and watch movies or play video games. I'd want no part of what's going on outside of this room, because you know what I mean. And especially when I started getting older, after my junior year, sophomore year, I mean, whatever. I was like, dude, I got goals. You know what I mean?
Right.
And going outside of this radius,
95% of
you know what I mean? I'm not messing up what I came here to do. Play football, get an education, and go on to the next post college.
And that was the thing was, though, that's how our team was. Everybody had their cliques they were with, and most guys, football players pretty much hung out with each other. The fraternity of the football fraternity was just
the
big.
biggest fraternity on campus.
Yeah, and we were always either somebody's at somebody's house playing the game, or somebody was cooking, somebody was doing something, or everybody stayed really clicked up. So as far as being aware of what the hell was going on campus diversity wise.
Yeah.
I kind of was like blind to it.
I was very blind.
And I got most of it after I left.
Yep.
And, you know, I've had talks with John, the guy that would put on those parties
Maroney,
and stuff.
yeah.
And he was like, Maroney was like, they got rid of a lot of the things that would bring minorities in from Texas. The black engineering program and all that stuff that would bring in a lot of, because whenever we were there, they had a lot of minorities that were there. I mean, John, Lexi, I mean, I could name off a few other ones that were just, you know, there were a healthy pocket of black people. You go there now, it's like, you know, the pocket's kind of gotten a little bit smaller. And some of those people kind of, they weed out a lot of those programs that got a lot of
Was Don Bradley still there when you were there?
Who's that?
Yep.
Don Bradley?
Yeah, C-Don was there. So.
Yeah.
He was dope. He was there when I was there.
Yeah, he was. I
Dope
texted
cat.
him today.
Dope cat.
Let's go to NFL Combine. We get all the players are reporting. OU had 3, 4 people show. I think we got 4 invited to the Combine. Well, 3 if we count Jalen Hurts. He's 4. LSU had 16. Where are we? How do we get there? Is the gap just that far in the SEC? Let me know.
I mean, the gap is there, but I think the tide is turning a little bit. I mean, again, college football goes in kind of different waves. I mean, Oklahoma was running it for a while. Big 12 was running it and all that stuff. The landscape of the Big 12 changed. SEC took over and they ran it over for a little while. ACC was big for a while. I mean, you had Florida State and all those guys, all those cats, Miami's. They was all doing their thing for a while, and they had kind of ran it whenever they were sending all those guys to the league and all that stuff. So I think it comes in waves and it moves in different spurts and stuff. So I think as the SEC kind of spreads the ball out a little bit more, you'll see the game kind of open up a little bit more in the SEC, and players will get exposed a little bit more on that end. And then you'll see bigger guys come. You see the game slowing down in the Big 12 now. You're starting to see guys starting to run the ball a little bit more, even though they're spread out as well. So you'll see bigger cats start to come to the Big 12, and you can see the game shifting a little bit more. I think you just have to get better on the defensive side. And offensively, Oklahoma's been at the tops and stuff. I just think they got to fix their strength situation. There's no way you can go and play against a LSU and get dominated the way you got dominated on both sides of the ball and not show no kind of resistance. That's offensive line and defensive line wise. And they didn't have if you look at it, man, you know, you have a guy like Adrian Ely, he's a second, third year guy in the program. You got
Louisiana guy.
Yeah, you got Marquise Hayes. He was the best player that was out there.
Yeah,
you got
probably proving a point.
You got Marquise Hayes out there that was out there young, but he's
Played
2
well.
years. He's 3 years in the program. Creed 2-3 years in the program. Who was the Tyrese Robertson 2-3 years in the program. So you look at those guys, you're not supposed to be getting beat like that physically in a game. And then until you can kind of fix that physical thing about OU, you'll never get those guys that'll be on that other side of it. OU's going to be OU, and Texas has to get back to where they were physically to be able to send those guys so you can have the numbers to be up there.
But
and they don't have that.
I don't on that point as far as Creed and all those guys. I don't even think it's physical. I think it's mental. Because physically, Coach Benny got them right in the weight room. You know what I mean? They post all their little videos. They're doing all that.
Right.
So they can push the weight, but it's that they don't have that. They don't have that dog. You know what I mean? They don't have that it.
And whenever I was talking, I forgot who I was talking to, and I was telling them, like, look, man, you gonna play against LSU, bro. A lot of those kids, with y'all sitting here doing videos online and they posting your stuff out there. I was like, these kids out there, most 80% of them that. A lot of them, whenever I was coming to school, they were sending Pell Grant back home to take care of mom and all that stuff. Their idea and their mind frame is football, eat it, sleep it, and I'm going to the league. And when I work out, I'm working out to go to the league.
Listen.
When I run, I'm running to go to the league. When I'm about to hit you, I'm hitting you like I'm about to go to. And they didn't have that. That didn't cross their mind when they walked into that game.
They fighting for their life.
Yeah.
You know
When
what I
those
mean?
guys said, and when them guys talk about this team, they were like, yeah, man, I watched film on them. They slow. We about to dominate them. We about to, and I was like, bro, they mean that. They don't just, they mean it.
Yeah.
So if you don't go out there and hit them in the mouth and make them understand, like, damn, all right, well, these guys ready to go, because they're going to try you. I mean, it's more like, it's a lot like it was when I was in public school. people just try you for no reason to see what you got.
Yeah.
For no reason.
If you don't hit them back, they're going to keep bullying you the whole year.
It was a systematic deal when you guys were there. I showed up my first day and tried to shake Coach Head's hand. Tommy Harris, he said, what the fuck? You think you're a politician or something? What the fuck you in here introducing yourself for? These guys are in here to work. Fuck out of here with all that bullshit. Okay, I'm nice to meet you too, sir. Like, let me get to work. I'm sorry.
Coach Ed called me Rook for the whole entire time. My freshman year, never called me by my name. Called me Rook the whole time.
I thought that was what you do when you introduce yourself as a man. You shake it. No,
but that sets the standard, though.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
It sets the standard.
Exactly.
Like, nah, we ain't here to, you know what I mean, over here politic or, you know, make you feel like you're a part of it. You got to earn that.
If I call you by your name, you earn me calling your name because you did something to deserve me, to make me recognize, oh, that's Rufus right there.
Yeah.
And the only reason he called me, he called you, Paul Thompson, and me. He started calling us by our name. Me and Paul was the only two that made it through the whole entire summer. Yeah. I mean, we worked out with the older cats. There wasn't no freshman group to the side. He threw us in the fire.
Wolfolk, Tommy.
I'm in there lifting with Teddy and them guys. I was like, ain't no way I could pick this shit. Like, you know, it's like dude's been doing it. So it was like we made it through that summer, and I earned his respect to say, yeah, that's Rufus. Hey, man, you gonna do some good. You know, he called me by my name. Most of the other guys call him Rook.
Yeah.
Till you get on the field, you do something here, you Rook.
You got to earn it.
So I to that point, you're so right, Rufus. And to your point, so if you would have asked me in college, and no offense to anybody in our place, but if you would have asked me in college, hey man, can you do fuck that interview? I ain't doing that shit right now. It's the off season. What do we need to do an interview for? I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, today's workout went great. I did some upper body cut. Hey man, I'm on my way to my fucking room to go to sleep because I'm tired and shit. He worked my ass. Like
you don't got no energy to do no interview. I ain't talking. Hey, how was your work? I mean, you about to fall asleep.
Shit, because half the time I'll be like, shit, I'm on my way. I got kicked out. Okay, I got kicked out. I can come back and
I gotta come at 3.
Yeah, you gotta
happy. You gotta
watch.
Camera.
You gotta watch who you interview coming out of that.
You interview Big Mo and shit. Man, boy, I just got to a fight with Coach Ship and shit.
You gotta watch who you interview coming out of that thing. You gotta pretty much gauge that body language. If they did, you may not want to mess with them, bro.
They just started the workout. Why you leaving? Nah, we don't need to talk to him about that. Go ahead, PJ.
You know why the SEC is winning, right?
Let me hear it.
The SEC is winning because they are doing a better job of bringing in talent on both sides of the ball and stacking
up front and early.
Recruiting is a special thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a special thing. You have to be able to evaluate talent, sign it, and develop it, and stack it. If you can do those things, you have a better chance. In the early 2000s, we were stacked, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were in multiple national championship opportunities.
Right.
The name on your jacket, your jersey, your helmet, whatever, it can help. But if you keep getting in big-time situations and coming up small,
it kind of puts a bad taste in people's mouth.
After a while, getting there is no longer enough.
Mm-hmm.
Now, having said that, I never played for a championship, but I know football. You have to win some of these games so that some athletes who may think about going to an SEC school will turn to think about you. But until we start winning in those Final Four games, we're not going to get the guys that we need to get. When y'all start winning in 2000, in 2001, in 2003 when we were LSU, when you start doing that, one, the Big 12 was the best conference in America. I'm not a conference guy. The SEC has done a great job of making the world think that it's about the SEC. I'm OU. I don't care about no other school.
And that's my next thing. Like,
I don't care about no other school.
So, it falls on the Big 12, right? LSU's you saw how many guys LSU got
16 at the combine.
They got 16 kids at the combine. I mean, OU has been one of the most dominant offensive pretty much school here for the past 3-4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Offensively with the players, I mean, you look at the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, we struggle. So you're not putting anything on the defensive side. Now this is their first time they having a defensive guy in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Combine was it Neville Gallimore and Kenneth Murray is the two guys that are going. You're so young on the offensive side. I mean, who are you going to send? All they're sending was CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah,
that's your offensive guy. So you go from that, and if the defense with the young guys they got now, if they keep on if they keep on the way that they're going, I think they'll be better. They'll get some defensive guy. I think Ronnie Perkins will be a guy that'll be at the combine. Just his physical stature and what he's doing sack-wise, if he continues to develop, he's going to be there. You also look on the other side. I think if Jalen Redmond continue to develop, he'll be a guy that'll be invited to the combine. But the rest of the conference, though, too, has to start helping you as well, because the rest of the conference does. I mean, you're going to always get there, but you never have that.
There's nobody besides Texas even recruiting worth of shit, though.
But there's no preparation for you to get there, and you got to find that matchup outside of conference. I think would help Oklahoma have that confidence whenever they had Baker Mayfield. They went and they played Ohio State in the horseshoe. So their belief and their thinking of how I can play with the other top tier teams is high up there. What team did they play against last year that gave them any kind of, I'm playing out of my conference and I beat these guys out of my conference? They played against UCLA at UCLA. That was it.
Yeah.
They played against Houston, and Houston was supposed to be a marquee game. That was end up being they ended up being flawed as a team. But Houston, because they beat you a few years back, and so you go into a game against LSU ill prepared, not like physically, mentally, all that stuff. You're ill prepared. I mean, as much as we may think that they were, I didn't think they were. I mean, if you look at it, they didn't even have that guy that's in the weight room that mentally challenged you, like the way that Schmitty mentally challenged people.
Schmitty, Ed, and Hill.
How they challenge, for you to be in a conference like this, and I'm not saying nothing about Benny if he's not doing something or what he's doing, but his job is to mentally change their mind frame and how they are. And you would know, the way we were mentally challenged by
every hour, every day.
It didn't matter if it was good enough. Like, he would sometimes kick you out just to see how you would react whenever you came back and did the second workout. For no reason. And he would see how many times you would come back and beg him to get back in it, just to see how much you desire to do it.
I'm so sorry. I'll do it again. I'm so sorry. I'll do it. I promise.
And I ain't never said sorry.
I ain't never said sorry either. I begged. But I mean, I ain't gonna lie. They break you down so much, and I don't think nobody's breaking these kids all the way down and building them back up in a different way. Because Bob would allow Schmitty to break you down from here all the way down to the body, and then they build you back up, and they knock you down a little bit, build you back up, and by the end of the year, you like
was a beast.
A different person. Yeah. Jamal Brown, different person. Davin Joseph, different person. And you keep going down
what names
the line.
Are you saying though?
Yeah,
we don't have that.
They don't have that right. But offensively, yes. Offensively, they had those. I mean, Orlando Brown is a few years removed. You got Drew Samia in the league. You got Cody Ford in the league. I mean, you got guys that
offense.
Lane Johnson.
Yeah, Lane.
What I'm saying is, back then you had great on great.
Yeah.
Right now you're just hoping that the offense can carry them.
Yeah.
But
and
you still say that, but the 5-star, everybody talk about the recruiting.
Well, I'm not a star guy.
But I'm not a star guy, but the recruiting wise, how they saw guys that they recruited and brought you in, and how they doing it now and how they developed you now is still different also. Because I said I'm a 2-3 star. I played defensive end in high school. I played a 2A school.
But they really weren't star guys.
They
really weren't.
Bro, when they put me down, my hand in the ground, dude wouldn't touch me. And I'm tackling people and I'm hitting.
But that's recruiting.
And that's recruiting, yeah.
No,
Brent Venables recruited me.
But
when I got here, it wasn't nothing. What Brent told me sitting down in my house when I got here, if he would have told me about Schmitty before I got there, it probably would have been a different story where I would have went. But when I got here, man, Schmitty was just the person that changed everything of who Coach Schmitty, Ed, and Hill was the people that changed everything about how I was as a player, how my body was, how I thought, how my mind processed. Whenever I got on the field,
changed that culture.
How I went on the field, those people taught me there's going to be some weak people on your team, right? So to get ahead of those weak people, you have to work harder than them right now. So whenever y'all get on the field and stuff, the weakness that person showed in workout, you're going to be able to overcome him in that practice and hit that person over and over again, or take the ass chewing from this coach right here, because you done took the ass chewing from Schmitty, and now you're sitting in here and you're like, shit, I know he can't mess with me. I already watch him practice and weight workout. You already know he mentally weak. So I'm getting down in my stands already knowing I'm about to dog him. Whenever Dante Hickson would line up at running back, I knew I'm about to tear turd ass up. Bow. You know what I mean? It was on.
Who was the third best defensive player this year?
Best?
say
who's the
Perkins.
third best defensive player?
For OU?
You had Galley, or you had Kenneth Murray, then Galley.
Kenneth Murray,
I'd say
Galley,
probably
then Perkins.
Roddy Perkins or Brevin.
So those three.
Yeah.
It's 11 in the starting lineup. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Mhm.
The issue is we don't have a complete offense, a complete defense with backups that could be ready to play.
And everybody's
We don't have what
how
we
do you
need to
get-
win
I get
right
that,
now.
but that's not fair because we didn't have that in 2000. We didn't have that in 2001 either.
So is it possible, Roy?
you,
and this
y'all didn't
goes-
have what?
we didn't have a complete offense and and second team.
Is it possible to be?
Am-
Y'all had
2000
complete defense. When last
But
time
we
had
didn't
complete defense?
we didn't have a complete defense. We didn't have a complete second team.
Okay, but you had a complete defense.
We had,
We had. I'm telling you,
we had
didn't-
weaknesses.
Yeah.
Every
we
team
had-
has weak. What I'm
okay.
saying is, guys are not making plays.
Here's the question I have. Roy. You can answer it this way. You
We
can
shouldn't
answer
have
it
got
this way.
ran through like the LSU like that.
Well,
the
I'm
combine
gonna speak
deal.
on that. I got.
Go ahead.
The combine
ahead.
deal. Florida State probably had more guys invited to the combine than you guys that year. Fair to say?
Shit, I don't even.
I would
don't
guess they
even
did
know.
that. Snoop Menace, they had Winky, they had, a few other guys. So the year
Travis Minor.
Travis Minor,
Yeah,
good Lord.
yeah.
I love Florida State growing up.
Yeah.
So I would
But then
guess that
they had Bolt, Anquan.
Anquan,
They
good
had
Lord.
they had Walker, Javon.
Dockett, I think maybe was Dockett.
That
their
was
name?
defense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
So I'm just saying total
yeah,
team.
Yeah.
So they had more. Is it possible nowadays? This is what we're talking about. LSU versus us. Is it possible nowadays to have less people go to the combine and beat them?
I think, hell yeah. Most definitely, without a doubt.
So you feel like with LSU having 16, us having only the 4, you feel like we could?
Yeah, because it's like when people hand out stars, right, for high school recruits or people picking All-Americans, whatever. Because there are people that should have been All-Americans, but they weren't All-Americans because you have, like in the Hall of Fame, there's people that should be in the Hall of Fame right now, but they're not because you have all these beat writers saying, kind of like this guy more than this guy. You know what I mean? So you have people's perceptions or however they feel about certain players. That's why they want to see them. You know what I mean? And that doesn't justify if that's even right or not, because there are guys that deserve to go to the combine, but just because certain teams, owners, scouts, whatever, don't think they're good enough, not giving them a fair shot, so they don't get invited. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean. There were guys. There are guys that were not drafted that played 15 to 20 years in the league.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It happens.
So-
Piedmont didn't get
Right.
invited this
Right.
season. He had one of
Exactly.
the better
And so that's where I was kind of going
5 or
with
6
that.
years,
Right.
5 or
Yeah.
6 games at the end
So
of the season.
people mess up. Let's just be real. They fuck up.
Yeah.
On who should get invited, and so yes, most definitely there are teams out there that only have one guy invited to the combine that could beat that. LSU team. Now, let's bring it back. LSU was clicking on all cylinders. You know what I mean? They had some dogs at receiver. They had Joe Burrows balling at quarterback, and their
D-line was
defense
incredible.
their defense had cracks in it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Didn't expose him.
They got exposed a little bit. You know what I
Clemson
mean?
Threw deep on them
Most
whenever they wanted
definitely,
to.
they did.
Yeah.
And so, but when you got my whole thing about football is when you cross that white line, it don't matter who you are. You know what I mean? You got to show up that day.
They attacked more. They
Yeah.
just attacked
So-
and fought more.
It was and talking about. It reminded me of that USC game.
Yeah.
It was no reason, like with the talent that we had that was on the field, that we shouldn't be able to be in that game. But we got out there. They attacked us and we didn't attack them.
You know why?
And Coach Venables went more into a shell instead of the person that Venables is now, who played in the USC game, would be a totally different person because he would. I'm gonna roll out there with my defense that I have, and I'm gonna attack pretty much how I'm gonna attack.
And that was the mentality.
And he didn't have that mentality because that was him coming up, stepping away from Mike. And everything that USC did, we checked to a certain thing. Just because they motion, we check. He got more. He outcoached himself.
Reggie.
He coached himself out of the game, and he pretty much handcuffed all the guys that were athletes all year long.
Yeah.
Like he handcuffed Dan Cody. He handcuffed all those guys in one game. And
Chuck my young pups right there.
Yeah, Chuck Long back there, he's not even doing he's over there just who was it? That was Chuck Long that was called?
Yeah, that was him. We just went we were supposed
they
to
went
run,
into a shell
run.
he went through a shell of an offense and like
went one back. It was awful.
It was just like an awful game. It was not even the same team that we've seen all year long. And so I think sometimes coaching could get in the game and pretty much do you wrong as well.
For sure.
We had a mentality gone throughout that whole entire year, but Bo Pelini, I remember Bo Pelini and Coach Venables arguing in practice before that game. And what Bo Pelini said in that practice came true to life. Bo Pelini said, if we keep checking this, they're gonna run these routes and they're gonna throw it and they're gonna run it down. They're gonna throw it down our ass. And he said, "Fuck it, you do it." Yeah. And he walked back, and then didn't say another word. And when we got into the game, the exact thing he said was gonna happen, and that's what he did.
Damn.
And I couldn't believe, like we watched. He sat there, and I was like, "Damn, they're throwing two verticals, and damn, Brodney can't get over there." And that's what he said. If they do this, my safety can't get over there. And got in the game, and he said, but Brodney came to the sideline. Bo Pelini said, "Hey, man, you got to keep trying, man." And there's nothing he can do.
I tried to tell him.
He told him, and I was like, it's just sometimes certain things happen in games. But
that's why I said Coach V and Mike worked so well together. You know what I mean? Because
Mike had the fucking and Breview had the analytical.
Yeah, most definitely, and it worked. You know what I mean? So, but on the whole LSU OU deal. So after the game, I'm not gonna say his name. I talked to one of the players, right? And I went back because I went up to the school Mike's last year when he got fired in the middle of the season, and I came back the following year and I spoke to the team and I asked him. I said, "Hey, were you weren't there? You weren't there.
No, I wasn't.
It was Tommy. It was Tommy and somebody else." So I said, "Hey, by a show of hands," I said, how many of you guys remember me saying that you guys need to spend more time with your coaches and understand the coaching scheme and why they're calling certain things?
I was there. I was still there. To get a better. You cuss us out.
No, this past when Mike got.
Yeah, when Mike got. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just telling them the blueprint on how I became who I was at the university, and so I asked them, and they all had their hand up because they remembered it, and I said, okay, now how many of you guys actually did that by a show of hands? And then I shit you not, about 94% of the people, all the players' hands up went down. And I told them straight up, I said, you're saying that you want to win a national championship, but you guys aren't even putting national championship effort, right? Okay? And I was like, how are you guys going to be mentally prepared for a game if you guys aren't even spending time with your coaches and understand why they're calling certain deals, right? And then the player I was talking to, I said, hey, do you know it's okay to compete in practice and when a ball's in the air you can go break it up, you know what I mean? And I was like, because just because you say you're going to do it in practice, if you don't do it in practice, you're probably not going to do it in the game, right? And I said this year, I said, hey, because when we did it, it was me, Ante Jones, JT, Book, D Straight, Woolfolk, Brett Jackson, Marvin Shoulders. We had all Brandon Shelby. We used to always have groups of guys, and we met as a secondary, and we went through the play calls, and we would pick on each guy. Everybody had to do it, and we went through every play of all the plays that Mike may call against certain sets, and we had to call out, okay, you have this, V motions, what happens? And then you point at somebody, and you got to say you holding everybody accountable.
Right.
You know, we did that week in and week out, right? And I asked him, I said, hey, do you guys even do that? Nope. And he was like, no.
How the heck y'all gonna know what y'all supposed to do?
Here's the deal. And I said,
we're just gonna know the basics. That's all.
But here's the deal, though. And I said, look, I said, just think about this. I said, you guys made it to the college playoffs. I said, you guys went half-ass. I said, just imagine if you guys would have invested 100. I said, dude, here's the deal. I said, if you just gave 2 hours a day for 5 weeks or for 5 days, you know what I mean? That is minimal. Then I started breaking it down. I was like, dude, there are people that put 8 to 10 hours in a day at work. And I'm challenging you just to do 2 hours a day just to perfect your craft. And I was like, dude, I said, you guys made it there, and you guys fucking didn't do shit. You know what I mean? And you guys made it to the college playoff. You know what I mean?
So what you're talking about, Roy, is so important because it's something that Rufus and I used to talk about all the time in practice, is have an educated football conversation. Rufus, how the fuck did you know on split zone? Why did you go all the way across? Why didn't you follow me? Well, JD, because you came and got in your stance real quick. Keywan's looking over there. You're looking up. So I already knew that the backside cutoff and the lineman's heavy on his hands. So I knew it's not a pass play. So you need to basically slow the fuck down. Yeah. I mean, you're having those conversations like, damn, I didn't even think of that shit. And I'm the one running the play. Yeah. And this dude is a redshirt freshman just like I am. Yeah. And they ain't even a senior.
And the thing about it was Coach Venables was that way. That's what he did to us. Like, we would all be in the room and we would go through all the plays and stuff. And I mean, he would randomly get you. And I mean, you could be a freshman. Yep. You'd be a true freshman to a senior. He would get your ass and be like, bam, what's this? And da-da-da-da. Exactly. And come and spit it off. And if you didn't give it to him in like a certain amount of time, wrong. Your ass ain't ready to fucking play. Exactly. I'm going to recruit a guy to replace her. I mean, just go off on you right then and there.
But that iron sharpens iron, absolutely. Man. That just makes you sharper.
The crazy thing about it is now they got iPads, all this shit. They have the game for the next game already uploaded on their computer by the time they leave the games now. When they leave the game, they have the next game already and all the film and all the cut-ups already locked up and ready to go. I remember when they used to give me, and I'm a guy that memorized shit. I memorized stuff. And they would give us that damn scouting report, and that means shit. Third down, this formations, all that, having known all the damn percentages and all that shit. And I knew them all. And I mean, we would come into the meeting and I'd be sitting there, people wouldn't know this shit, and I'd be spouting that shit off in the back end of it.
52%.
Yeah,
65%.
BV would be like,
never happens.
Fucking guy's not even gonna be playing this week, and he knows his shit.
Exactly.
And I mean, he's just sitting back there and
earns you reps.
But the guys that don't get it now is shocking to me.
Yeah.
Like the kids that don't get it now. Because, like you said, if I'm getting tired of getting my ass beat and it being my fault as a defense, when I bring the guys to it, I'm gonna have a mandatory like, hey, yo, you, we all meeting up today. Mandatory. I'm the team leader. And so we got to figure this defense shit out. But nobody took the initiative to call out this guy, and say, hey, we have to get this as a secondary. Nobody called out.
And they don't. They don't have. And I asked him, I said, who's the leader? And he was like, well, we really don't have anybody. I said, that's your problem.
Absolutely.
That's your problem. Like, I mean, it's like, who is going – I said, here's the deal, though. Everybody at times are going to be fucking pissed at the person that identifies himself as the leader because they holding everybody accountable. Right. But at the same time, if that fucking leader is doing their shit, you gotta get on the learning curve and be on his level, or you can't fucking play on this fucking team. And that's just what it is.
Because when you get on the field, you call his ass out when he ain't doing the shit right.
Exactly.
See, bro, if you would have came to the meeting, your ass would have known that. Like, bro, like we all went through the adjustments and shit.
Yep. Exactly.
So, and me and Rufus is very good about this, and he had said it even a year ago, just talking about some of the depth that we have coming back. We have one senior safety. We have one senior corner. We have no senior DNs. We have two senior linebackers. I believe we have one senior D tackle. Do y'all feel confident about those numbers?
Senior D tackle?
I think it's the JUCO kid, maybe.
Who's the safety?
Or wait.
No,
Chance Sylvie.
Oh, Chance.
I don't think we have a senior DT.
Maybe we don't. I thought one of the JUCO kids only had a year. Let me see if I can
find Winfrey has this a year?
Maybe. Let me see where I can find it.
I thought he was a junior. But, I mean, still, though, I mean, that's a struggle right there. And I think Tibb have his hand cut. I think the hiring of Kane helps Tibb out.
You got Stokes as a senior. That's what it was. He's a JUCO kid.
He's a JUCO kid.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
I think Stokes. I think Kane being hired as a defensive end coach helps Tibb out because I think it's so different.
Yeah.
And coaching the interior and coaching the outside at the same time, that helps him out a lot. But the depth part is one of those things. If you don't get those freshmen, the redshirt freshmen, to blend in with the guys that he got in, then you got another year where you got to go find you somebody to come in and be a guy and give you time right now.
I mean, if Perkins is suspended like we assume, we have 2 juniors and then 5 freshmen behind him at the end.
But I'm talking about the interior.
On the interior, we have senior, junior, and then we have 4 sophomores behind them.
Bro, I can get down with a young defensive end because that's such a finesse position.
Mm-hmm.
If my interior ain't got no man in it, hey, I done went through it when I had grown ass men in it, and I went through it when I had pups in it.
Young pups is totally
And
different, ain't it?
That shit is a totally.
Oh,
I would not
man.
wish that on my worst enemy.
Boy,
when I had a
bark means
freshman,
a lot, don't it?
When I had a freshman, and we had Steve Coleman, and I think if
Big
it wasn't for Remy Idell, bro, it would have been a long senior season. Because I mean, Remy was good at what he can do. I can cheat away from Remy. I had a young guy in the middle, and they would take him and put him in my lap sometime. And it's just, you got to learn how to do things.
worst.
Man.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm so thankful I don't have to worry about that.
Right.
Yeah. you lucky as hell. Shit, but that's what I'm saying. Those guys Tib has to get those guys ready for the next group of linebackers to make it easy, because up the middle is where I think you hurt the most on our team right now. As good as Neville – the grounds that Neville made and the leaps and bounds he made in his defense, I still think sometimes all that moving and stuff hurts the defensive line, hurts a guy like Neville Gallimore. Because sometimes if you have a bigger guy, you should be able to line him up and whoop somebody's ass.
When's the last
He
time you
should
saw
change
that,
the line
though?
of scrimmage.
Change the line of
When's
scrimmage.
the last time y'all saw that, though?
Gerald McCoy.
GK.
Gerald McCoy.
Damn.
I mean, Jordan Phillips have changed the line of scrimmage
Jordan,
sometimes. Yeah.
And he left.
But
But he
not
was
on
always hurt, too, though.
Yeah, but not on a consistent basis like
That's
GK.
tough to hear. That's
GK
tough to
did.
hear. PJ and Roy, any final thoughts? We'll get some. We're gonna get some fan questions after this. But any thoughts on just the defense, just being young?
Just have to, I keep saying the same thing, evaluate talent, sign it and stack it. That's the only way it's going to get better.
What you got, Roy?
I got one. Who's the guy in the secondary that you think gonna be the next guy that's going to – because, you lose Parnell Motley.
It's got to be Trey Brown. That's the only –
that's one side of it, though. Who's the other guy?
Safety play to me and Roy, I would love to hear your opinion on this. And I say, people laugh all the time, but I say, look at the safety play of the teams that have won the national championship. Look at that shit. Those motherfuckers make tackles when they get a chance.
They move around to make plays.
When we lost to Georgia and Bama turned around, they tackled those guys. They tackled Chubb and Sonny Michel in the open field.
Oh,
there was a lot of runs that they ass popped off for 40, 50, 60 on us. They got for like 8.
Yeah.
But the young safety, though, that played – who started having the really good closing of the year.
Turner Yell?
Yeah. Is he going to be able to keep his spot with some of the young guys coming in? Is Turner Yell going to be the guy that they could move down or whatever?
I honestly do not know. And I say that because it's when you have these young players coming in that have all these stars, they're trying to put them out there. I don't know if it's for recruiting purposes to say we put our young guys out on the field type deal. But at the same time, a lot of those kids are getting exposed to some stuff they should be sheltered from for at least a year. And that's no disrespect.
That's real. Yeah.
And then, and that was another conversation I had with the young guy I talked to. I was like, man, I said, you guys are front runners,
Damn.
And I said, I literally said, this is not me being disrespectful to you. This is just me telling you what I see. Like and I said, do you even know what front runners are? He was like, no, not really. I was like, okay, so in horse racing, they have front runner horses that take off and they look the shiny horse, and towards the end of the race they start fading away because they're front runners and they lose the race at the end. I said, that's what you guys are right now. You know what I mean? You guys are Oklahoma. You guys will be ranked or whatever. You guys come in the season. You guys have all this, pizzazz. You guys are a nice little shiny quarter. But within the season, you guys start fading away. You know what I mean? You guys start losing your way of your identity because they don't have an identity. OU does not have an identity. Their identity is Coach Lincoln Riley's offense is going to
outscore. We're going to try and play fast and hopefully get a turnover.
And that's it. And it's they lose the art of what football is. Football, regardless of how they're playing football right now, football is smash mouth and competitive. It's a competitive sport. Yeah. And if you don't have competitive people on your football team that are willing and wanting to step up to that challenge and take the fight to people, you can't win championship. You cannot win a championship because your defense is going to have to get the offense the ball back. And if you're not creating turnovers, getting sacks, getting people off on third down, which I know it is a little harder now to get people off on third down because
find a way.
but that's when you find that inner dog inside of you and you're like, you know what? I'm tired of being fucking embarrassed on national TV coming to the college playoff. You know, that's when you got to have some of these younger guys, the guys that are there now, step up and put their foot in their teammates' ass and say, look, enough is enough. I'm tired of being embarrassed.
Mills, have you ever had to do that, Mills? To some of your teammates? Like, call them out or anything?
Yeah, it's like,
and how did it make you feel, though?
doing
How
it.
do you make you feel, though? You did it. How did the teammate respond to you?
first of all, I think if one, you got to be playing well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You got to be playing well.
Means more.
to be saying those kind of things.
Right.
And I think it also helps if they know you.
Yeah.
Not the player, but the person.
Yeah. Okay.
And knows that I'm saying this because we need you to
Ain't
get
just
this
saying-
done.
I ain't just saying it
so
just
we can get
bullshit
to
you.
where we're trying to
Yeah.
get to.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think there's a way to say it too.
Yeah, it's all about your approach.
There's a way to say it. I think certain times you may say something to me one way, but you may say it differently to him.
Yeah.
But that's leadership. When the message is what's important, knowing how to decipher it to who, that's when you're the leader.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When they respect you enough to listen and you are able to give them something they need to hear, but you know how to talk to this guy as opposed to how to talk to another guy. Because if you come to somebody that type of way, he ain't hearing nothing but just you disrespecting me right now.
It's
you know what I'm saying?
It's about your
and
approach.
it's just about the approach and giving the good information.
While you on PJ, let's get to these fan questions. At Chris_Lambacus wants to know, question for PJ: How do you think or feel the wide receiver, tight end court, yourself, Corey Warren, Albert Hall, Jawan Penny, Michael McDaniel, Ricky Brady, and Steven Alexander that you were a part of during your time at OU? How would they have performed in Lincoln Riley coordinated offense?
Oh man.
How many yards, PJ? How many touchdowns? Come
crazy. I mean, this is an amazing offense. I mean, you're talking about, S.A., Ricky Brady, you know what I mean? I mean, Corey Warren, I don't know if you know some of these guys, but, I mean, it was some guys, you know what I'm saying? And the offensive flexibility that college football has right now.
Yeah.
I mean, any offensive player worth his salt would love to be in a Lincoln Riley offense.
Anybody.
I mean, come on, man. This is easy numbers.
Yeah.
Easy numbers putting up with that type of system.
For Superman at OU, Edwards wants to know, you got recruited by John Blake, right? What was the pitch? You came from California for a coach that had 3 losing seasons. Damn, that's a good question.
I wasn't even tripping off the
season.
What they did before. So I didn't even care what school. Honestly, I didn't care what school I went to. I had an opportunity when Damian got hurt. I was going to UCLA without a doubt. Before his allegations and all that, him being in jail. Bill Cosby was running around the track when I went on my UCLA recruiting visit. And I was like,
The pudding.
I'm coming to LS or US. I'm coming to UCLA. You know what I mean? So
the pudding
I was in. You know what I mean? So when Damian blew his knee out, ACL, MCL, PCL, Stanford took back the scholarship. I went to Cal Berkeley because I knew Cal. He liked Cal, and I went to Cal. I was like, "Yo,
that boy's out there packaging deal his home.
Yeah,
Bro, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
I truly, I was like, "Yo,
you the real deal for that.
I went to Dan Farino and I said, "Hey, my buddy, I would love for you guys to offer my buddy a scholarship too." Like, "Oh, we're not going to get. We don't want him." And I was like, "Well, I'm not coming here." So my aunt gave our highlights tapes. She first initially talked to Joe Dickerson, and coming from California, they already perceive that they can't get any California kids because no California kids wants to come out to Oklahoma. She was like, "Well, bring me something back." Brought back a magazine that I was on the cover on or whatever, and then gave our highlight tapes. The next thing I know, here comes this country mofo, black cowboy hat, black shirt, black leather coat, black jeans, black cowboy boots,
Black
big
everything, huh?
big silver ass butt buckle. And I'm like, who the fuck? I'm like, who is this country mofo? Joe D.
Yeah.
And that year, they had a lot of package deals. They had me and Damien came to OU on a package deal.
Yeah.
They had Woolfolk and Pryor. Then they had Dwight Benning and Curtis Fagan.
Okay. Houston, something like that. Katie.
The Katie. Trying to think of anybody. We had John Connor. We had Rocky. We had Frank Romero. We had Trent Smith.
That boy's throwing package deals out there like
so that's how I came to OU. I didn't care about that. I tell young guys now too is look to your left and right and see if you can see yourself growing with that man next to you. That who else is on this recruiting visit? Because that's who it's going to all. Ultimately, that's what it's all going to be about is the guys that they're bringing in here. So you need to see if you can mesh with those guys and see if you want to come here.
Yeah. For you, Ruf, at Wendy Avili wants to know, for Rufus being from Louisiana, what were some of the biggest lifestyle changes you had to adjust to when you landed in Oklahoma?
Man, first and foremost was the food, bro. I mean,
What?
man, the food in Louisiana was just off the chain. The food out in Oklahoma was just not. I remember I hadn't had gumbo in a minute, and I went to what the place?
The seafood off the
Crab
35?
Shack.
Oh, okay.
I went
Joe's
to
Crab Shack.
Joe's Crab Shack.
Bro, that's a chain.
Wait, bro. I went to Joe's Crab Shack, got some gumbo, and they had like a cut up okra in it. I'm like, man, what the hell is this? And I said, nah. And somebody's like, man, you need to go to Pearls. So I went to Pearls and got some food. It's like, I got some red bean and rice at Pearls, and that wasn't even good. I'm like, man, why y'all rice so hard out here? I'm like, so the adjustment from food wise coming here was so different, man. And then the people, I had to repeat myself a lot when I came here because Louisiana was just more everything we talk about is more muffled, and so I can conversate with. I mean, I had good conversation with Sauce because Sauce from the Blue.
Yeah.
So it was easy. Me and Sauce would understand each other.
Oh, Sauce.
But man, I couldn't. Just the language barrier and stuff was a little bit different. But like I said, what made it easy was I was clicked up with all the guys and stuff, and I stayed in that circle. It didn't really.
Yeah, it's funny.
Food was the shit though.
Yeah.
Food was.
You mentioned Salsa. Coach Long's making a speech one day, and he's like, "Okay, man, does anybody know what carpe diem means?" And Sauce goes, "Seize the day, man." He said, "What? What?" He didn't know that he was going to know what carpe diem meant, and we didn't even think about it with the French stuff. He's like, "Yeah, seize the day, man. Seize the day, man. That's what it means, man. Seize the day." We're like, "What the hell did Sauce know? Carpe diem?" So
French,
anyway,
man.
it was hilarious.
Creole, baby.
Yep. This is a great question at jbertato493, and thank you guys. Well, not even you, but Broyles and some other guys signed some stuff. Hats off to him, military guy down in Fort Hood. We're gonna try and do a podcast down there. But at jbertato493 wants to know: did you see any cultural advantages or disadvantages during your time at OU? How would you evaluate the overall climate of the environment while you were at the program? What kind of advice would you give to other African American athletes now that lessons learned back then? Go ahead, y'all take that shit, not me.
Time management.
Is it different for black kids than it is other people?
You talking about black athletes?
Black athletes. So he's saying, what advice would you give to black athletes, and did you see any disadvantages or advantages?
No, I mean,
if you were sitting there talking.
If I'm the disadvantage is if you go into college as a scholarship athlete, what you want to go into. If you want to go into engineering, be a doctor or anything like that, those kind of things you usually have to make a sacrifice on because you don't have the times and things to do that. And they'll tell you when you come up in school, and they'll tell you the same. They ain't gonna tell you that on your recruiting trip. Oh, you want to be a doctor? Oh yeah, we got the best. We got the best medical whatever.
You want to go.
You want to be an engineer? Oh yeah, we got the best engineering and all this and that stuff.
But they don't walk right by that building.
Yeah, they don't tell you. They don't tell you when you walking in that hey, you have this other obligation that comes above. That you're an athlete student. You're not a student athlete.
95% of our guys are multidisciplinary studies.
So
you're whoa, African American studies class. Okay.
So I think that's one of your biggest disadvantages. Yeah. I think if you're forward thinking, the networking, the getting into the workforce kind of thing should be very easy for a guy that's an athlete. That should be an advantage of yours. And the guys that don't take advantage of it is the guys that just didn't. They stayed in their pocket in their later years in playing. Because as I got older as a player, I picked up golf. I went and hung out, and I got a job. And I was more in the community. I met a few more business people that said, hey, come to this event, come to that event, or whatever. Sign a few things here or there. And those are people that I talk to nowadays. Say, hey, man, you came to my kid's birthday party or whatever. And I do insurance. So it's like, man, what are you doing now? Oh, I'll do insurance. Hey, man, well, give me a call. I'll give you my home, my house, and all that stuff. I have a business as well. If you can quote it and do it and give me a good price, I'll give it to you. And it's all about personal relationships. And so for some guys that come in and say, well, when I left, I didn't have any networking or anything like that, that was kind of like, that's your fault. And so I think that's an advantage right there. Culturally and stuff, like I said, man, I had the team. Usually you have the team, man, and I never was a person that needed all the other people that's on the outside because I had a goal of winning. I wanted to win. I was competitive. And so to stay on that path, I had to be with those guys, and you're going against your buddy, but you also still trying to go down the same path and win games and stuff. So for me, it was culture change wasn't really much of anything because I just love playing the game and being around the guys as well.
P, anything? Advice?
I would tell everybody time management is important. You can do so much if you regiment your time. I want to do this after practice. So I got to get my studies in, right? So if you can find a way to be disciplined enough to stay on somewhat of a regimen, I think that can help a lot of these guys so much. I really do. If you just make it up as you go, it's going to be hard.
That's real.
It's going to be a lot harder.
You overworked, underpaid. You got about 5 hours of sleep a night. Your ass going to be studying until you sleep, and then when you wake up, you better be remembering that shit.
And take it serious. Like this, you're not doing this. You think you are. You think you're doing it for your parents, or you think you're doing it because you came here. This is for you. I think sometimes guys forget that. Your parents want you to go to school so you can have a better life. And I don't think some people took advantage of that.
Yeah.
And some people get a little uncomfortable and say, man, put God first. Do your very best and then have fun. That's in essence, that's all you can really do. And in the network, what he was saying is so true. You never know who you're talking to out here. And that doesn't mean be fake. It just means, listen, open your mind up to meeting new people. There's a lot of nice people out here. There's a lot of interesting people out here. And then every now and then you're going to see them fools. And you know how to deal with them accordingly.
Especially if you want to get into business, man. Yeah. Like you voice that. Yeah, I want to get into business. I want to get into this.
Right.
And people at Oklahoma put you in front of those people. Like, hey, this person does this or whatever. Yeah. But you have to be able to voice that a lot more than like I don't think we're accustomed to doing. Damn. And I learned that more towards my senior year than I did my earlier years. I was just trying to survive and tread water and keep my head above. Yeah. But when I got a senior, I started knowing my shit, and I just tried to start networking and moving a little bit away from football. Yep.
Roy, and then we'll got one more question after this. So any advice for youth, college?
Nah, I mean, just to, regurgitate what Roof and, oh my gosh, Jay has said. So I would say, one, the time management is huge, P. Because here's the deal. We all been there. You gonna make time for what you want to make time for.
Girl,
you know what I mean?
I got 20
you know what I mean? Let's just be real.
Can't let that secret out.
So I'm just being honest about the situation.
Yeah.
We gonna make time for.
Don't worry, I'm gonna study with you, girl. Don't even worry.
We ain't even. You know what I mean? It ain't even about studying. You know. I know code word for your study, but I got you. But I'm just saying we make time for what we make time. So when you, as an athlete coming in. And what you're talking about, Roof, you know what I'm saying, if you want to be a doctor or whatever, I would say stick to your guns. Like, if that's what you want to do, stick to it. Because the way football is now and how, it's not as strict as when I was there when you guys were there. It was.
Now it's like they making your ass graduate now.
No, you know what I mean? But here's the deal, though. But being that if you want to be a doctor – And if you, like, for instance, I think it was only like one guy that had a class after practice started. It was only one guy. You know what I mean? And because everybody else knew, like, Miss Teresa, she had everybody 2 hours before practice started. Everybody is done and ready to go to practice. You know what I mean? So it's like, stick to your guns. If that's what you want to do, then that's what you signed the dotted line for.
Wayne B. Shelby and Antonio Perkins stuck to their guns. I remember that. Yeah. Perkins did business and
So I mean, if you're going to do it, then stick to it. Don't let. I mean, that's a learning experience in itself on sticking to your guns and being true to yourself on saying what you want to do as a young man, a high school student coming in to becoming your manhood.
Because they threaten you with playing time and shit.
Oh no, they'll try to put that on, but to understand, if that's the game they want to play, I'm here for my scholarship. I'm going to meet my requirements, but at the same time, I'm going to do what I want to do come to school, and you're going to pay for it. Yeah, you know what I mean? So you just have to stick to that guns. Now, I'm not saying do that in a confidential way, but I'm just saying that you need to be able to stand your ground. And as far as just everything else, I mean, enjoy the process. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's enjoy like there are so many life lessons learned from winter workouts, summer workouts. I mean, it truly is. Like, I mean, it being accountable, showing up on time, doing your responsibilities. I mean, there are so many lessons learned in that are going to help you. It's not a mistake why a lot of business owners and CEOs or presidents, whatever, they want to hire athletes because they have the work ethic. They don't make excuses on why they can't get something accomplished. You put a problem in front of them, they're going to freaking solve it because that's how we are bred to. That's what we're bred to do. Is you got to learn on the fly, and you are going to execute. And if you don't execute it, guess what? You're not going to make excuses. You're gonna do better. You're going to study, and you're going to be prepared next time. So I mean, those are things I would tell them.
So I would get onto them and say, realize the ways that they would throw money at you. Your scholarship is now guaranteed, for most Power 5 conferences, but they'll pay you for intercession now, like $4,000. You get $2,000 when you sign up, $2,000 when you finish with the deal better.
Really?
Damn.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
$4,000.
They'll pay you for that. They pay you a lot more for summer. They pay you a lot more off campus. You know those things. They will pay for your fucking masters if you have a 3-point in your last 60 hours or better.
Damn.
Little things like that. You see what I'm saying? You know how it is, PJ. Because again, Roy, you know how it is when we first get there. The GPA. Then when you last 60 hours, that shit, you build it up because you figure out, hey, I need the African American courses, all that. Anyway, but for real though. But last question: is this shit on you like this one, Roof? So, do you feel like you need to be he wants to know? Do you feel like you need to be a little bit of an asshole and a lot of ego to be an elite player at the college or pro level, or is the talent enough with that right work ethic?
Nah, talent is never enough. But I mean, you gotta have the right work ethic, and you also have to have that right amount of asshole, because you're gonna have friends that you get intertwined with that'll always want to persuade you to do some other bullshit or get away from whatever it is. Sometimes you have to be an asshole to that person, and then sometimes being an asshole to that person, sometimes they may not look at you as the same person. They may not even invite you to do shit no more. You can lose friends because of that. And being that asshole sometimes save yourself from a lot of heartache later too. And so I like what he said, because sometimes being an asshole keeps you away from being in a lot of other shit that you don't need to be involved in.
That's real.
And I mean, I can say as so many damn stories about times that I didn't do things and times I was asshole. And sometimes you have to be that person to be an asshole to want to take a person's job. I mean, if you're playing in the game, if we're both at the same position, and I'm over here trying to get it in and stuff. I mean, the dude across there, that's at the running back. I'm going to have to go ahead and knock his head in because I have to be an asshole because I'm trying to get a spot. Got to. And if I'm trying to, I'm competing really hard over here on this play, I can't take it easy on my buddy or something like that. I mean, you got to have a little bit of that competitive edge and stuff. And sometimes guys that are threatened by that are older than you, they'll tell you, man, why you going so hard?
What you doing? Why you trying to take my job, fam?
You make it into the league. They tell you some older cats in the league will do that shit to you. They'll look at you and be like, "Y'all, man, why you
Chill
going
the
so
hell out,
damn
dog.
hard or whatever, dog?"
It's an off-season
Man,
fan.
you know what I'm saying? It's the
fuck with my
off season.
checks,
Well,
bro.
hold up, man. You signed to a lot of money. I got to go hard to
Give me that $200 a week.
make the team. I gotta make all these special teams and shit. So the guy that's on special teams I compete with, I gotta be an asshole to that guy because look, bro, you competing for that spot on special teams. There ain't very many special team spot. He's locked into a long-term deal.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
What the hell you mean?
I'm on the $200 a week. If Roy makes it to a month, he gets $1 million. So
Yeah,
I mean,
so-
let's realize the disparity here, okay? Let's.
So was it? I mean, the guy in Miami was like, where he came in, he was a special teams guy. He made the team, and he was just a special teams guy. And I'm a rookie. I'm coming in, and I mean, E.J. Henderson is there, and you have Chad Greenway that's there, and
Maryland
Ben
Iowa, good
Lieber.
players.
So they're gonna keep
K-State.
2 linebackers. Well, I'm like, well, shit. There's 3. I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, damn. Well, hell, the guy right there. Look, bro. Shit, we coming down here on punt team. Look, I'm out.
Gotta go.
I'm down there. He's like, damn, bro, you running hard today. It's a job, bro.
If I don't,
It's a job. But he
Running home.
already had those steps, and you got to watch for guys like that as well. And like they pretend to be your friend, but in that situation, I kind of understood. EJ had pulled me aside and said, "Dog, ain't no friends in this shit." And he older. He came. He's like, "Ain't no friends in this shit. You better go ahead and go hard. They're gonna send you home."
PJ, elite asshole, elite nice guy.
Am I?
Yeah.
I'm an elite asshole.
Yeah.
All day.
No, I don't. I was very confident in what I was able to do, and and I think with the word confident, I think people need to believe in themselves more, because there's a lot of false bravado out there. So I really do think that people, but in this particular situation, football players, believe in yourself. Because you come to Oklahoma, you got a lot of competition. I'm just using that because that's our school, but you have a lot of competition, and just because somebody's in front of you now, don't sit back and just think, "Oh, well, I can't ever get there."
Right.
You got to believe in yourself and put in the work. If you put in the work, you're gonna be better off. You might get that number 1 spot, but whatever it is, you can say, "I did my best with this opportunity that God gave me, or you gave me, my family gave me by taking care of me all this time." You honor your family by making the best of your life. In my personal opinion,
absolutely.
you
I would
honor
say
your
whether-
family because listen. All of our families, even your story, all of our family, your mom loved you enough to let you go over with that man, so you'll be better.
Right.
That's love.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's real love, because I want my baby to be where he should be.
Right.
So I just think that that's really important for people to really believe in yourself. And even when you maybe aren't going to the NFL. I didn't go to the NFL. I hurt my knee. I didn't go to the NFL. But I can say this. I did the best I could.
Yeah.
I don't have any regrets.
Yeah.
I don't have any regrets what school I went to. I don't have any regrets about anything. I mean, I wish the knee didn't go, but it did. It is what it is. So I would say believe in yourself. Do
Roy,
your
finish
best.
us off. Elite asshole, or are you an elite nice guy? You were nice to me, Roy.
Hey,
Thank you
look,
for
man.
being nice to me. Roy.
Well,
You better go ahead and say the other one, man.
no, I wouldn't
appreciate your
even.
niceness.
Here's the deal.
Hit my-
I can't say. I get what you're saying as
You
far
probably-
as
I appreciated it
on
when
your,
you did it. I appreciated it.
Here's my
Jam. He
here's,
jammed us in Jordans and a
here's-
fucking. It was like a mink suit.
See-
I don't know what it was.
Sean
It was like
John
a-
appreciated that
velour.
shit
It's-
after.
Black
excuse,
velour suit.
excuse me. I don't know
Yeah,
what that
Sean
type of money,
John.
Roy.
I appreciated
just know
the hell
shit
out of
look-
it afterwards, but at the moment, because he didn't know what we were going through,
No,
bro. That man didn't know what we were
He
going
came
through.
in, jammed the shit out of us, yelled at us, said, "Y'all some bitches.
And
Get him, Schmitty."
Hey, bro, Ed that left, Ed and all them guys that left, and Schmitty was doing the most, and you didn't know what we were going through. It was a different world.
well, anyway.
But
so,
you went through some worse shit than I went through.
Well, here's the deal. So, as far as I get what you're saying, but when you're talking about hitting Dante and all that, that's not being an asshole. That's competing at the highest level.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because success breeds success. You know what I mean? So if you're shooting the A gap past whoever the lineman were, just say Vince Carter or whatever, and you're getting to Dante, that should mentally push Vince to be better,
Right.
and Dante to be more elusive. You know what I mean? That's not being an asshole. That's just you playing at a high level and you are demanding everybody else get where you're at.
Right.
So I wouldn't consider that being an asshole, and I wasn't an asshole. You know what I mean? It literally was. I was just a. People got to understand. All I ever wanted to do was play football, have fun with my teammates, and just laugh and have a good time. So when college, professional, people just got to see the product of a young kid from Union City, California, living out a dream.
Right.
So that wasn't me being an asshole. And I rarely ever talk shit. I only talk shit to people when they said something to me, and then I got in that ass. You know what I mean? That's just what it was. But so being an elite asshole, guess what? When people say elite asshole, I mean, people called Kobe Bryant, rest in peace, an asshole because he fucking demanded everybody else to get on
work today.
And he wanted everybody to get on his level. Like, so I wouldn't even consider that an asshole. It's like, dude, it's like
Come
people,
on.
yeah,
To be elite, you have to be a certain way.
You have to be a certain way.
You respect that more when you get away from the game, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
I'm saying there are certain people,
Yeah.
whether they say it or not,
Yeah.
they respect you more now
Yeah.
when they're away from the game.
Yeah.
That's how you treated
To
it.
see how different you were and what made
You know what I'm saying?
great.
Because
Yeah.
certain guys, they have a certain level that they're going to go to, but they need somebody to push them further.
For sure.
So you need people like you.
No, for sure.
Need people like you that's going to tell you the truth.
Yeah. But
You know what I'm saying?
I wasn't that. Here's the deal. I was not that guy. Because especially come workouts, they look at me. Well, they were like, that boy's struggling. I'm like, hell
Well,
yeah.
you better not say shit to me. We put pads on, okay? I want to hear that shit. All this leadership
But
shit.
no.
Shut up.
I wasn't the guy that talked like that. You know what I mean? I was just a silent leader that led by example. You know what I mean? Now,
and
there
some
was
guys
only,
can still picture that.
and there was only one
that as
thing.
a-
There was only one thing that was my kryptonite in Smitty workouts, and it was fucking the
Gassers.
gassers. That was the only thing.
I hated
everything.
those too.
Everything else.
I hated gassers.
Ramps,
The dope.
pulling the sled up the hill,
Those turns.
everything else crushed.
It's those turns.
It was
was-
that the gassers. That was the only thing that got me.
Those
So
sleds-
sleds,
y'all
sleds is what
sprinting.
got me.
sleds was easy. I was like, that's
No,
light,
but
light work.
he started going to where he would put 315 on it. I mean, this is like you're a
He
damn
didn't do that for me.
Pitbull. Like he did that. He had you had a year, bro. You were like a mule, bro. He had everybody. He put 315 on there, and you had to get it. I mean, you digging it. I'm like, bro, you can't move that. Can't move this, man.
Yeah, receivers doing it.
But-
Half the receivers was
But
a
so
buck 50.
we honestly, after Torrance left, I mean, Rocky wasn't a real vocal leader. We just led by example. We just bred off our success of how we even built up our program to get back into the national spotlight.
I wasn't gonna let that shit go down.
Huh?
I wasn't gonna let that shit go
We
down.
wasn't gonna let it go down. We carried that torch with pride. You know what I mean? And being able to pour into the younger guys and just talk to them one on one and not just out them or make them feel belittle them or anything. We spoke life into them. We spoke in love. So that's what I'm talking about approach. But we didn't have that vocal leader in 2001. We just everybody was held accountable.
Right.
You know what I mean? I expected you. I
yourself.
expected you to do your job. D straight. I'm looking at you, and he'd be like, "My bad." Like, yeah,
same way I
motherfucker.
looked-
Yeah,
I
I
looked-
know
I
it's
looked
your
at him
bad.
that
You
way.
know what I mean?
I looked
But
at
it's
him that
just,
way.
but it's just like you know that you messed up. You shouldn't taken a chance on that. Book. Wrap up, dog. You know what I mean? Stop
saying-
Hit him hard.
Stop throwing
Crazy
that chicken
thing
wings.
is,
You know
I had
what
the
mean?
same conversation with guys I played with. I remember when Zach would be the
Latt.
same. Zach Latt would mistap my bro.
That shoulder.
Wrap up, bro. You got to wrap up, Zach. Just hold on till we come. And that's what I would tell him. Hold on till we come. It'd be times where I'd tell, like, whenever Bird, we'd be in games, and I'd be like, duh. I said, hey, go ahead, just crash down, make that tackle. And he was like, what? I said, crash down, make the tackle. Right, we'd be in the huddle. Text in them. I remember we break, boom, they hit. He has a straight up tackle on the damn quarterback. Don't even make the tackle. I said, God damn, bro, you don't want to be great. Yeah. And he just big old smile, and that's what he said. He's like, shit, man, my bad, I messed up. But it's guys that know shit like that that just push everybody. You could call everybody out.
Got a question for each one of you three.
Yeah.
2-part one. I'm going to ask the same question, sort of different with him. What's the best defense you played on at OU, and what game would you want to have back?
Best defense was 2001.
Okay.
And the game that, but when you say have back,
Like
was
you-
it because of
Y'all didn't play well.
because we didn't play well, or on the defensive side,
Yeah.
or on offensive side?
On the defensive side.
I'll take 2 games. Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
here's the deal,
Go
though.
ahead.
Defense didn't play bad in 2001. Our defense was stout in 2001. It was our offense that lacked.
So what overall game would you rather have back?
Nebraska or OSU?
I would rather have OSU back just because I would have put – no, I'm going to be real. I would rather have Nebraska back because it would have been nice to beat Nebraska in Nebraska.
One when they did the same thing that we tried to do earlier.
And fucking Nate falls. No disrespect, I love you, Nate, but
Yeah.
you fucking clumsy fucker.
Yeah.
You're going to fall and just like you fucking did a Tom Brady, bro, before Tom Brady was Tom Brady when he dropped that pass.
Should have gave it to the fullback.
Yeah. But I would rather have the Nebraska game back. Because we played our asses off. I mean, we played our asses off. So I would say Nebraska game, but I mean, it's frustrating because if our offense could have scored
14,
at least
21 points.
21 points a game,
Game was over.
without a doubt.
Back to back. What you got, Roof?
That
sorry.
Miami, though, Miami would have been tough. Miami would
Y'all
have been
played
tough.
Miami that year. Ooh.
What's that?
Miami.
Ooh.
Oh, for sure. Miami.
But y'all would
was
have played
this-
them fucking tougher than Nebraska did.
Yeah.
Good
Oh,
God.
for sure. I mean, would have. I mean,
That shit was over.
our
when Dre
preparation.
walked in
I
the end
get.
zone.
I get who all the players that they had, but it would have been.
Yeah, but that offense, you weren't going to
That-
beat Miami.
No, our offense. That's what I'm saying. It's our offense was. We wouldn't even. We shouldn't
But I
even
mean,
played.
Florida
the game.
State offense was pretty potent, and they came out there and they whooped Florida State ass. I remember when y'all guys went out to Florida State. Winky was doing all kinds
Yeah,
of.
but they
But
had
they-
boys had
yeah.
Portis, they had Dre Johnson.
But I'm saying though,
Winslow,
Roy
Shockey.
and them came
Shockey.
in. Roy and them came in there and tapped Florida State ass. Pow, pow. You know
Them
what I'm
boys
saying?
was
But still,
loaded.
I would have liked to see them play against that Miami team.
I would have loved to. I mean, I would.
For me,
Best defense you played on.
that would have
What
been
game would you want to have back?
2000? Was it 2000 after we played against LSU? 2003?
Yeah.
Was that 2000?
Ooh, 01,
The
03.
game
Which
was
one
in
was
04,
better?
but the season of 03.
Yeah, season of
01,
03.
without a doubt.
Huh?
I'm not. He was like, which one's better? 03
So
or
01, 03, which one was better?
I'll say 01.
01 was better than 03.
I think so too.
Our stats.
I think 01 was better.
Our stats alone was. You got a different one?
I don't know.
You saying 03, aren't you? I know you was going to say 03. Are you saying 03?
We
Go
can
ahead,
pull
go
up.
ahead,
Pull
go
up.
ahead,
Here's
go
the deal.
ahead.
Pull
Go
up the
ahead.
stats. Pull up- No,
That's fine.
I'm just saying statistically
I think
We-
01 was better.
because we
It had to
averaged,
carry a lot more than 03 did.
without a doubt. We averaged 3 to 5 turnovers a game.
That's tough.
That's
A game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But 03 for me, we played against USC. We didn't put our best game out. I know we didn't put our best
I'd
game
love
out
to get
there.
that one.
Just man,
USC
just
or
the
K-State?
turnover that after Bradley touched that ball, man, the momentum shift and the game just went
I
downhill.
fucking left after that.
That killed us,
And
man.
that, I mean,
Left
it just
the game.
killed the
That was
whole
out.
game. I mean, we had everything. I mean, we was dialed in. Everything was going, and then it just rose like a black cloud just came over the stadium and just sucked the air out of it.
Feel it on the
You could-
sidelines like a big ass air fan just hit us cold.
and-
What the hell just happened?
For me as a young guy, you know, I couldn't say anything because I was a pup. I'm out there just freaking going off of just going off of my knowledge that I know of the game and just playing. And I mean, I'm gonna be vocal with guys, Lance Mitchell, Dan Cody, all those guys out there, and say, "Hey, man, let's get our shit together." I mean, the boys probably look at me like, you know,
Shit's over, man.
Yeah, and
But sometimes they older guys, and
When you
more
did it to-
experienced guys, they need to hear that.
when he did it to Dan, though, Dan shit,
Dan was checked out.
Dan checked out
Dan
on
was
our
out of
ass.
there.
Dan said he was out.
Dan was out of there.
He told like young guys,
USC game in 04?
yeah.
I'm gonna have to get Dan on and talk about that one because I love
Best
him.
offense you played on at OU?
I mean, it has to be the one with AD. I mean, 04 with Jay White, AD, MC,
04.
Bradley. I mean, shit, you pulling Chester off the bench who played 10, 12 years in the league.
I thought the year before when they played LSU was better.
They were, but I can't say an offense without AD is better than an offense with him.
Yeah.
So good, man.
He was
Golly,
good,
that
but I
year.
just
I'm with you, Roof, because the thing was we were so creative
because
with
Jamal
how we
was
ran the
that was
ball.
Jamal's last year.
No,
Right?
he was there, AD's freshman year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
so
then now
it
y'all
was
lie.
something.
Then yeah, that year was.
But I would have loved it, believe it or not, the K-State or a USC game. It was what Rufus was talking about, man. People don't know how much Coach Mike helped our run game because it was such a he was so wanting his defense to break. He was wanting them to have time to adjust that it forced take time away from his defense to talk shit to Chuck about getting our offense and running, blah, 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 put the offense on the field, put JD on there, get in the high formation, run the I mean, to me, that just, it kept us in a rhythm. And when we didn't, I knew we were going to lose to K-State Monday when we played them. When we had 3 DBs late for special teams meeting, I knew something was up.
Shit, I knew we was going to lose that one whenever BV was the night before. It was 10 o'clock. And we're still making checks and adjustments.
You should be in bed by then.
Making checks and adjustments. If Bob Stoops wouldn't have came in there and said, let these fucking guys go to bed. Yeah. And that's the only reason why we got out of the meeting and went back. I mean, we were in there. People were in that bit.
Dozing off. Hey,
one more.
Go ahead.
What was the difference between Mike and Venables as coordinators? Both of them highly successful, national championship.
Both great teachers. Both amazing teachers.
Just there was no difference for me because their coaching style was the same. In your face, they demanded your best. They demanded greatness. So, and to me, they weren't different because when I had one-on-one time with both of them, they were the same way. Cool as shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Very understanding, talking you through stuff. But when it comes to being on the field, they both will get in your face and cuss you out because it's like, motherfucker, we went over this shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they're holding you accountable. So to me, they were the same. I mean, they literally were like the perfect like peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I mean, they fucking didn't go together.
One of them ran scouts over here. One of them ran the defense over here. And run that shit again.
Yeah,
okay, I got
you. They worked so well together. Like, I mean, they literally balanced themselves out on calling perfect games. You know what I mean? Mike was a little more risk taker, and Brennan was a little, let's play a little safe here. You know what I mean? But they worked so well together that you got to see their perfection with the defenses flourishing like they did.
Soft roof.
Huh?
Finish this off.
I'm going to say, for me, BV was a lot more creative whenever it came. So if he's going to do exotic blitzes and different things like that, when he's going to take a chance with a blitz, he's going to tell you the reasoning why and the person that he's trying to attack and all that stuff. He was more analytical of how he was going to attack something. BV lived and died by the numbers. I mean, he's all about the law of averages on this and that, this formation and that formation. Mike he'd take chances, but Mike would just play to his athletes a lot of times. Mm-hmm. I mean, if he had a Roy or somebody out there, well, shit, Roy gonna knock that shit out. I'm gonna play to my athlete. Sometimes Coach Venables would get into like try to be into the perfect situation.
I need you under. I need him over.
Give you the
blah
calls.
blah blah and this that.
Giving you the calls super late and all. I mean, just making you mad.
Over that fun.
He was one of those guys, man, that wanted with Mike. That like Roy was saying, they would get each other into the perfect game because one would feed off the other in a way that like I've never seen in certain games. I watched those guys coach against Seneca Wallace. I've never seen two coaches feed off of each other the way those two guys went in there and shut that man down with a Heisman. And we went against
him.
He went against him, Cliff Kingsbury,
Chris Brown.
It was Kingsbury, Chris Brown, Purify, and Seneca Wallace that year, and shut all of them down. They knocked out freaking Cliff Kingsbury in the first freaking half.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys they just did things so well together, and it was a beautiful thing to see. But I think Brent was a little bit more creative on his blitzes and stuff. You can still see it now.
Man, another amazing pod. I got to thank my guy Brad Reed. Thank you, Mr. Cubit, for letting us come in. Man, thank you guys, man. We just got to do this shit again.
I mean we also need, for Black History, we also need to give a shout out to Coach Sumlin.
Hey, straight up.
Because Coach Sumlin is a guy, they ain't got very many black coaches out there in college.
Coach Brianman too.
Yeah, but Coach Sumlin, what I could respect about Coach Sumlin, that man went and gave Tibb a job. He came back, gave DeMarco a job, and those guys are off to bigger and better things. And he's always on the lookout.
Still doing it.
And he did it at A&M when he went and got Coach Jackson. That was a strength and conditioning coach at OU. And he and Schmitty didn't see eye to eye. He got a job over at A&M, put him on as the head of strength and conditioning staff. So, it's Black History Month, but still,
shout out.
Coach Sumlin is a good dude.
Very great.
Each one teach one.
Yes, sir. Love to hear it. Man, thank you guys. Let's do it again. This will be another great episode of Fullback U. All right. Welcome to another episode of Fullback U, and man, just excited to have some extended family, some guys that I've done a podcast with. Going to start with Mr. Wayland Cubit. Wayland, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic, man. This is historic. You over here on the east side, bringing the professionals over on the east side. You had your boys in here. Who was that? That was
Roy Williams, P.J. Mills, and Rufus Alexander.
Man,
so. You guys are doing the real work, though. I also got Jermaine Johnson with me. Jermaine, how you doing, sir?
What's good? I'm good, man.
We had for those that don't know, you guys do a podcast. I'd love for you to talk about that. You kind of put it on hold because you're about to win Oklahoma County Sheriff.
There you go.
I like the way
you
said that.
Yes, sir. So we're going to talk everything. The podcast that we did, I still listen to it. For a lot of people that don't know, I was born less than 2 miles from here at the old Presbyterian Hospital.
That's right.
You know, my dad, we'll get into all that because I want to get you guys' advice on that. But just let's talk about you guys' backstory. How'd you get here? What do you want the people to know about you?
Well, so, man, I don't even know where to start. So,
where are you from?
I'm from here in Oklahoma City. Born, raised right here in Oklahoma City. I went to Millwood.
Falcon.
I know you train a lot of kids to come out of there. Come out of a lot of tradition. So I come out of Millwood way back in 1987. Went down to college at OU. Went down to college at OU because my father was a big OU fan. Big Sooner fan and Barry Switzer fan. And so when he said, well, you got to do something. You either go in the military or you go into school. I said, I do not want to go in the military.
That's right. What
school you going to go to? Only school I know is OU. I guess that's where I'm going because Barry Switzer's there. So I went down to OU for that. But all I ever wanted to be was a police officer. That's all I wanted to be was a cop. About 12 years old, I wanted to be a cop now. I think both of us kind of got started in that TV shows had a whole lot to do with inspiring my need to want to be a police officer, but things change. I still want to be the cop, but why is a whole different reason now.
That's right. Awesome. That's awesome. Jermaine, let me hear it. Background, bio. Let me hear it.
Man, I was actually born in Los Angeles, but I grew up in southeastern Oklahoma, McAlester, Oklahoma.
Some real football down there.
Yeah, it used to be. We have our moments. Kind of a baseball, wrestling city now, town. Came to Oklahoma City to go to Central State. Like Cube said, I wanted to be a police officer. The first time I saw Matt Dillon on Gunsmoke, I was like, there is absolutely nothing else. So I went to UCO and got me a degree, got on with the police department, went back to school, got my master's degree in police stuff, and now I am teaching at UCO because I've got a family full of teachers in my background. So I teach at UCO, and I'm doing this Popo stuff full time.
Yeah. So you guys mentioned I come from a family of teachers as well, but we've talked about it before. My dad is a criminal justice major, went to Langston, played baseball there. And I would love to hear you guys. I know you already talked about it on your podcast, but I did a podcast with my dad over off, he lives behind the Burger King over by the governor's mansion. And my dad was a federal officer at the housing authority back in the day. He said that he would never do it ever again. You guys have talked about on the podcast, you said, hey, man, you see those things rolling by with just bullet holes everywhere.
So,
tell me what Oklahoma City was like for him, and can you blame him for feeling that way?
Right. So people really don't want to recognize that Oklahoma City was a really dangerous place in the 90s. In the 90s, we were, I think it was looked upon across the country as baby turf for gangbanging and stuff. And so public housing and housing authority, I'm not sure if they was commissioned police. So I think they were commissioned police officers at the time.
You said they could do everything but take people, but transport criminals. So they could do everything, but they could arrest you, just couldn't transport them.
I think they're not commissioned police officers currently, but they were then. And so they were doing the exact same thing that the police officers were doing at the same time. And I distinctly remember seeing those Chevys, those 90 model Chevys going through boxcars with bullet holes in them, man, which means they were taking fire. And so and when we came to work, the apartment complexes hadn't changed, and so for us, when we look at the safety, there's some places you just don't drive because you can't get out, right? There's some places you don't go. So just thinking about what it would have been like in as a police officer or trying to do your job in a place where when you drive in, there's only one way in, one way out. The place is surrounded by gates and stuff. So it might have been a little interesting being you having to enforce the law when things got rough in places like that.
Jermaine, I remember my dad coming home one day, and I looked into his eye. I'm just a little kid playing hyper as hell, and I said, "Hey, Dad, what you doing?" He said, "Nothing." You know, why aren't you putting your copy in? Why aren't you going? I ain't going back. Why ain't you going back? You know, I'm a kid. I want to know that. Can you believe? You know, what wouldn't I tell you that he didn't want to shoot people? That he didn't want to be in this? What makes you think of that? Tell me what it was like. And I know you've been a lot of places, but just tell me what gang activity was like back then.
So it was so bad that when I was in the gang unit for 4 years, we would jack up the LA gang members. So what happens in LA is whenever it gets hot, when the spot gets hot in LA, they always come down here. And I think we talked on the last podcast.
Yep. Baby turkey.
Hold on. We're not talking about temperature hot. I don't know who's listening to this
well,
podcast, but we need to talk about it. Everybody know what we're talking about?
Cube. I appreciate that. So when the police are on to them, they'll come down here because they usually have family members based on the Great Depression when a lot of people moved from Oklahoma to LA, so there's a spot. And I can remember being in the gang unit. I pulled over this blood from, what's the movie with Denzel?
Training Day.
Training Day.
Okay.
You guys remember the part in Training Day where the big shootout happens with him and his this guy was from the jungle, and he says, "I hate it down here because you guys don't gangbang right." And I said,
That's what's up.
What do you mean we don't gangbang right? He said, "You guys go way harder than what we do because you're trying to emulate something that you don't know." So where in LA, I may get, I don't even know how to talk. You know what? Some people
go ahead. You just say it. Go ahead.
Like they may stall you out in LA, but in Oklahoma City, they'll shoot your shoes off you because they don't know any better. These are country boys trying to emulate a West Coast influence, and that's what we have down here. And people try to act like this is just, and it is a great state, and it is a great place to raise your kids in certain areas.
Well, I know in the 90s, just the data that the police department could track, we were up to around 5,000 documented gang members in the late 90s.
Yeah.
In the late 90s.
Yeah.
That's just what the police department was documented. So there's no telling what it was in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So when he says documented, that means that 5,000 people actually admitted to the police that they were gang members.
Yeah.
That's tough.
That's tough.
That's tough.
So you could just imagine how many people.
Let's go into the background. I want to hear this because this is something that has always intrigued me. And I asked my dad this, but he couldn't really tell me. And you guys talked about it. You knew when you wanted to become a police officer. Talk to me about that because you had to have split feelings. You said it on the last podcast. Nobody black wants to be the police.
Right.
How do you? That was philosophical too, man.
Yeah.
What drove that though? What got you there? What was there a specific instance that you remember saying this is going to be me?
No, I'm like Jermaine. Initially, it was Gunsmoke. It was the guy that came in and saved the day. Maybe it wasn't just Gunsmoke, but it was always the good guy, bad guys on shows. And I always identified more with the good guy. But I think it's a calling. I don't think, and we may have, in today's society, we may have people that start looking at the resume and start looking at the pay and the benefits and trying to weigh that kind of stuff. That was never, ever a factor for me. It was like, I like action. I like being the good guy. I like saving the day. I want to help people. I'm bad at math, and I don't think cops have to be good at math. And so
shame on you from a math teacher, junior high math teacher. Shame on you.
This is what I ought to be doing. This is what I ought to be doing. So I went from either I'm going to be a stunt man, I'm going to be a cop. Cop is what I'm going to be. You're right.
Jermaine, what was it? What made the jump?
I never told you the stunt man, did I?
You did tell me about the stunt man,
Okay,
but we'll talk about that later. I was in the 3rd grade, and Marty Schumacher was supposed to fight this kid. And Marty Schumacher was scared to fight this kid because he was bigger than him. And Marty comes over to the house and says, if I don't show up, he's going to get me when I get to school. And I remember jumping on the handlebars of Marty Schumacher's Mongoose and driving down to the park. And this is going to be really black, so I'll let you, to catch his fate.
Straight up.
To catch his fate.
Straight up, 100.
And when I think about it, now I got to articulate. I was going to fight for Marty Schumacher, who was too weak to fight for himself. And when I think about all the fights I've had, I can't remember too many fights where I actually had smoke with someone. I was always defending my buddy. My mom was in a bunch of abusive type. I was always that guy. So there wasn't even anything else. It was just this. I want to help those who are too weak to help themselves, and I want to separate good people from bad people. And I know that sounds really cheesy, but it's the honest to God truth. One other thing, both of us had no idea how much money we were going to be making.
Not a clue.
That's when you know.
Yeah, not a clue. Didn't care.
No, I love it. I want to get into it because I know there's certain things that can't put a value on. Some of these the gang interventions, the mentoring, you can't put a value on it. You can't put a price tag on it. Before we get into that, let's get into you being sheriff.
Oh yeah.
How do I vote for you? What are you going to change for me? Everything except for putting money in my pocket, I'm guessing. So
right. I'm not going to put money in my pocket. Actually, we got to take money out of your pocket in order to be sheriff. So we got to have a lot of. So you got to donate. And so the main way to do this is to check out my platform and all of the things that I'm interested in doing for Oklahoma County. Is go to cubitforsheriff.com. That'll give you the platform. That'll show you how you can volunteer, all of those things. And then it's also on Facebook, of course. But the main thing is I've been married for 27 years, JD, and we've had 4 kids. In that 27 years, we've also had 8 foster and adoptive kids. Now, I know everybody's going, ooh, he's such a good person. Wayland Cubit did not necessarily want to be a foster parent.
You were co-pilot in that?
But I don't even think my wife necessarily wanted to do that. But we looked around, and somebody needs to do this. There's a job that needs to be done. We have the resources, the place, and the ability to do it, and we look around and there's nobody to do it. So that's what has to be done. Same thing happened with this sheriff thing. Like, I have the knowledge, skill, and ability to be able to do it. There's something that needs to be done, and I'm looking around, and ain't nobody coming. That's me. I have the knowledge, skill, and ability and the resource to be able to pull this thing off, to get what people are crying for. They want responsible criminal justice reform. They want accountability. They want somebody they can trust, and they want somebody that has dealt with the mental health crisis that we have, that wants to deal with the mental health crisis that we did. So, as I mentioned, when you are fostering and adopting kids that are not yours, and you're raising them as your own,
that's God's work.
That puts you in. I have to deal with DOC, not from the police officer, but from the person.
Parent.
I have to deal with DHS, not from the police officer, but as the parent. I have to deal with alcoholism, mental health. Go on down the list. Check. Well, what that actually means, that's who I am.
Character.
It's not what I do. Police work is what I do. But what makes me good at what I do is who I am.
Yeah.
Right? And so when people ask why you want to be sheriff, it's because it has to be done by somebody that you can trust, and that's me.
Jermaine, tie it together for me. Go ahead.
How's
he do it?
I need to be, you know what? I need to have a paid position on this man's staff because and we did something a couple of weeks ago where everybody was sharing all these glowing accolades about my friend, and I had to tell him who he really was. I mean, he's all those things, but I'll tell you something, just sitting in this building that reminds me. Several years ago, we're mentoring some kids. We've got some fraternities and sororities up here. We're having this great time, but we're in the hood, right? We've got a kid who was involved and is a 9-0 Crip gang member. He's trying to change his life around. He was a gangster. Don't get it twisted. He gets into an argument with a kid outside. Me and Cube are in the office doing paperwork. One of the kids that I mentor, actually is a linebacker at UCO now, comes back in, and he's a middle-class kid. So he's not used to this.
Right.
So I see this look on his face, and he's like,
something about to go down.
No, it was like, hey, by the way, there was a kid that just pulled a gun on a kid outside. You guys probably want to check on that. And me and him look at each other, and we run outside. So we're talking to the kid that had the gun pulled out on him, and we see the kid who pulled the gun walking back. And this just kind of tells you about the hood that was really scary. The kid who had the gun pulled on him started walking back toward the kid, knowing that he's got a gun. And I watched Wayland Cubit and myself pull out our guns, and now we're going to have a gunfight. No vests, no anything. And the kid's about to pull the gun out of his right pocket, and I'm like, as soon as you pull that out, I'm going to burn you. And I got my boy here, he's going to burn you too. And I saw that police guy. This dude's a sheepdog, man. I love all the positive accolades. And like I told the group a couple of weeks ago, the Oklahoma County Sheriff's job is to separate good people from bad people and put people in jail. This guy is a shark, and he will be awesome. And I'm saying that, and he's my friend, and I know I have this biased opinion, but I wouldn't lie for him. I wouldn't lie for you.
No.
I'd just be like, yeah, he's cool.
You shouldn't have a need to lie for me, right? You shouldn't have a need to lie for me. But that's right. There's accountability, right? Who was it? Richard Pryor? You need prison.
But thank God for the penitentiary.
Thank God for the penitentiary.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank
we
God
got it.
for
We
it.
got to use it, and so, but that can be done with a certain level of accountability and compassion, right? So we got to do justice. I ain't trying to get out. I'm not trying to get.
Because I got something for you.
But we got to do justice. We got to love mercy and walk humbly.
I love that.
Right.
If you guys were the officer that saw Tamir Rice, I'm sorry, but that child would be dead. I don't mean that to put you guys in that category, but the officer that I saw on that video didn't give Tamir Rice a chance. He didn't. You guys just gave that kid a second chance at life. You guys, I'm sure if I could go down the line, I'm probably sure there's 100 kids that you could name that you could have taken out. They probably wouldn't have put you in jail, and you gave those kids life. Shout out to you guys for giving those kids life. Shout out to you guys for and I know, and this I hope you can comment on, or if you want to. I know you guys are the type of guys that would spread that to your coworkers. I know you're the type that would not let our youth get done like that.
Yeah, one of the things that helps in that decision making process, to shoot or not shoot, or gives the benefit of doubt here or that way or this way. Not trying to
Judge them.
Yeah, not trying to judge the officers' decisions, but what I'm saying is, we believe that relationships matter. Right, and so we spent many years in this community center, not with just the kids, but their parents, their teachers, the people that love them. We talk to them, we get to know them, right? And so it's really hard to dehumanize somebody you don't know when they look like somebody you do.
Oh, boy.
Right?
Oh, boy.
Right, and so it does give you a little bit more time. It doesn't make us less professional. That we might give another second or here or there. Like he said, we pulled out our guns. We were tactics. We had to look at what was behind us. There's houses behind us. There's other kids around. There's a flood of information that comes to decide to shoot or not shoot, right? And here's what I love about this guy is we never really talked about our intentions. We talked about our impact, right? Yeah, we came here every single day to make good intentions, but at the end of the day, when all the kids left, I'm like, Jermaine, you shouldn't have said that.
Right.
Or he's like, why you shouldn't have told him that, or whatever.
Right,
It's like because we're focusing on the impact. We know he didn't say anything in his mouth to try to lead a kid down the bad road, but what was the impact? What did they actually leave here with? And so we have to beat ourselves up all the time about that.
Yeah.
And from leadership from law enforcement, we got to start saying that, hey guys, I know that you put them on the ground, you threw it on the ground, you pulled that car over, you did all that kind of stuff, but what was the impact when you left?
Yeah. Right. No, I get it. Jermaine, he's going to win this sheriff deal. Is he going to get on and change on us? I mean, how do we know he's going to be the same guy?
You don't know how to change. This is him.
Okay.
This is him. It's really funny because I definitely have a white voice.
Yeah.
And I've got the hood voice, and this is just Cube all the time, right? So he doesn't know how to – this is just who he is. And he actually – man, I don't hate talking like this about this dude next to me. It's really funny because he used to have a problem with it. Man, stop saying I hate people telling me that I'm this good squared away guy. But he's been consistent. He's been consistent the 20 years I've known him. But Cube's a gunfighter. Cube's a lawman. And if I say nothing else in this podcast that is profound, he's going to make sure Oklahoma County is safe.
That's real.
It's the goal.
That's real.
That's the goal.
Let's go into detail about that. I'm a guy who's from here. I pride myself on being from the East Side. I should have been. My dad was a Douglas Trojan. We moved. It was one of the most humbling things I've ever heard was sitting my dad down and him telling me, "Son, gang violence was the reason we moved you from the East Side.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want. It wasn't about the education. It was more about what was happening in our neighborhood." That was hard. We've talked about how we moved from there to Murder One. You guys have heard that.
Yeah. City.
Just talk about Oklahoma City. You know it better than your hand. What's your plans for some of those neighborhoods? What can we do better? What do you plan to do better? Let me know.
Well, the number one thing, so I did this TED Talk. And you can go find it, Google my name and find this TED Talk. But that TED Talk was titled Relationships are the bridges over our biases. And we literally have, over the years, have a distinct disconnect between one side of town and the other side of town. And there's some things that we're not talking about. But once we do talk about them, I'm seeing some marvelous relationships form.
I heard Bricktown was an all-black town at one point. And we moved
was-
out.
yeah, it
that was
was-
the OU. Am I getting too
down
hot?
Second
Is the-
Street.
No,
Yeah,
the
no,
team
no,
getting too
no,
hot?
no. What was it? What would they call it? What was it called? Deep Deuce.
The Deep Deuce. Yeah.
And more heroin pushed
and they
through
saw
there.
some money being run, and all of a sudden it's all white.
Regentrification.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Just making
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
but-
happens.
But and a lot of the stuff that we want to characterize, and I know we want to characterize as racism and all that kind of stuff. A lot of that stuff, man, is unintentional bias. That's because they have no relationship with one another. Same thing is happening with law enforcement and communities of color, right? There's no relationship, and so instantly by me becoming sheriff, you instantly get relationship because I bring those relationships with me, and I've been intentional about having those relationships throughout my career, right? And so bilingual is what we like to say. I speak cop, I speak Ebonics,
Street.
I speak
Yeah.
academia, whatever it is. I
Right.
hear it all.
Right.
Dual citizenship.
I'm dual
I
citizenship.
love it. I love
I'm a
it.
dual
You got the black
citizen.
card.
Right, dual citizens, and I will leverage that citizenship for the good of the people in the county, right? And all of that actually is the basic part of dealing with all the problems you just kind of highlighted.
I got one for you, Jermaine. I flip a chair upside down and I have a kid hold it and I say, "Hey, man, this is your anger and you're holding on to it." I learned that from you, So I steal that. What do you steal anything from? I'm sure
my
you do.
goodness.
So,
The biggest thing, he's always been the voice of reason. So anytime I want to be talked off the cliff, I'll talk to him. If I just want to let this anger just rage, I won't call him because I know. I can appreciate his appreciation for relationship building. I'm kind of actually a very introverted guy, but whenever I'm hanging around him, I see how when he walks in the room that everybody's important and everybody means something, and I don't know. No new friends with me.
Right.
Used to be. I have now become more open to just sitting down and talking to people I don't know, and that is a direct result of spending half of my career in the same office with this guy.
Yeah.
Relationships. He's preached that since day one, and there's something to it.
Yeah.
Absolutely something to it.
All right, now let's get to the nitty gritty. I need the cop story.
Let's go.
Okay,
Let's go.
last time I heard, and it was weird because I was waiting for this big punchline for you, and you told this story, and it was like there wasn't a punchline, but it hit home. I was like, damn! And it was the one where you talked about you had went to the house and you dropped the flashlight there. And you dropped the flashlight, but you went back to your car, and you couldn't remember where the flashlight was, and it was a crack house that you had went to. And you go back to get the flashlight, and this lady's crawling on the floor looking for crack. And I'm like, in Oklahoma City? You know what? Because I'm waiting on the story of, oh yeah, he had the gun pointed at me, I had the gun pointed at him. I said, drop it or you're dead. I'm waiting on that.
No, man. So there's those stories, right? There's those stories. Every cop. I mean, you don't go with 24 years in law enforcement that don't have that. I could have, should have shot, or been shot at. The horror stories. But some of those things just kind of stay with you. And like I said, I was an undercover police officer. And the story you're talking about, we raided this house for crack cocaine, and we got whatever we got, and we arrested whoever we was going to arrest, whoever. But we left certain people behind. They didn't meet the criteria for or probable cause to be arrested. So we left them. But as we taken out our sacks of evidence, apparently I left my $110 police flashlight.
Back then, that's a lot of money, probably.
It's right now.
It was not that. Yeah,
yeah. You got to go get that, right?
Yeah.
And then for me, I think we kind of pride ourselves with this flashlight being with me my whole career.
Sure.
Like I'm gonna leave it with my kids. I don't know.
Right.
So anyway, I had to go back and get that flashlight. And we go back to get that flashlight. The house is boarded all up. People are left. We go back in there, and here's this lady, shag carpet, on her hands and knees, ignoring the fact that the police came back, on her hands and knees, just crawling through the shag carpet and looking for crack that we may have left or forgotten or didn't pick up or dropped or something like that. Little minuscule. And so to me, it sticks in my brain about addiction. Right, and how it took a person, somebody's mother, somebody's sister, somebody's loved one.
Yeah.
Instead of going home after being handcuffed in the back of a police car for I know we probably were there for our hour and a half doing that kind of thing. Instead of going home and being man, I'm glad I didn't get arrested, or I'm glad I didn't get hurt, or any of that kind of stuff. She went back in there, and all she could try to do was feed her addiction, like a Kirby vacuum cleaner down there looking for crumbs of crack cocaine. So that sticks out to me, and it's another reason. It's another reason why we need to address addiction and mental health. Like, that's going to be somebody. Let's say if we took her to jail that night, what's going to happen?
She gonna get more hooked on more drugs. She gonna come out she gonna revisit within a month. She gonna be more hooked. She's gonna be more criminalized. She's gonna be hardcore.
Right. And I'm not saying I got the answers to that.
Right.
I'm just saying I know that I bring that perspective to the discussion.
And the women's, we were on A&E with the women's prison, and it's a real deal. I'm like, they most scared of the women. They sending the scared straight. That's what it was. They had a scared straight in Oklahoma City. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's Oklahoma City.
It's the real deal, man.
Yeah. Cop story, if you can, Jermaine. I know you got some great ones.
I got some great ones. The best one, I would probably say, was off duty though. I can give you smoke. I
don't want you to talk
Bricktown.
about it. Don't talk about Bricktown.
Talk about that one.
Tell the one about the young man on the bicycle. I think that's profound too.
Okay. May 4th. I don't remember the year. My birthday's May 5th.
Okay.
My birthday's May 5th.
I didn't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's I'm not going to do any police work today because I'm turning up tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah. Birthday week.
It's 80-something degrees. I'm at 23rd and Ollie.
Okay.
I see an African-American kid, 13 years old, on a bicycle wearing a Chicago Bulls jacket. Now, I just told you it's 86 degrees. Why does he have a Chicago Bulls
Got
jacket
something
on?
strapped in there.
He's smoking a cigarette.
Okay.
I said,
Good
you know what?
old-fashioned police work.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I'm gonna talk to this kid, tell him stay in school because I'm mentoring at this off on the side. So I'm gonna make a.
You ain't gonna want to hear that.
I'm gonna make a difference. So JD, he's on his bicycle and I'm behind him, and I hit my horn, and what I told the court a few years ago, he turned around and he looked at me, and it's a stare that I've never seen from a kid, and I was like, well, what the? I said, hey man, come here. He drives his bike to the driver's side door, and I'm lazy. I don't want to get out of the car. He leans his bicycle up against my car, and the windows roll down. I said, hey, what's your name? He doesn't say anything. He's looking for it. I said, boy, you hear me talking to you? He then proceeds to reach in his pocket, and he's pulling out a cannon. He's pulling out a .45 automatic out of his pocket. And I say, oh, expletive. And I open the door, and I knock him off the bike. He jumps back on the bike, and he's trying to pedal. But have you ever tried to pedal so fast that the chain pops off the sprocket?
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to brag. I'm the fastest police officer that's ever been at that place. I'm going to walk him down. Now I know what's popping.
Right.
Now we got a foot chase. And we're running down 23rd Street, and I've got my gun out, and he's still trying to the gun's too big for his pocket, and he's trying to pull it out. And one of those stories, as soon as you get that thing out, youngster.
Yeah.
As soon as you get it out.
Yeah.
But I see this baby face. Like, I'm looking at this guy's face, but I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it, I'm going to kill him. Finally catch up to him, blow him up on the ground. I'm 250 pounds. He's 120 pounds, and I'm leaning on him, and I'm leaning on his chest, and I'm leaning on his neck area. Now, if somebody's trying to choke you, it's automatic. I'm not trying to choke you.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning on him. What you're going to do is you're going to try to grab my hands and free yourself to breathe. He's still trying to reach in that pocket, and he's little. So I just flip him over, put the handcuffs on him, walk him to the car, grab the gun, .45. He's got one in the pipe. I said, you were going to shoot me. He was like, nah, man. I saw that you're an African-American. I was just going to give you the gun. I was like, stop lying. He says, N-word. You know what it is. I said, I respect that.
Yeah.
10 years later, same kid. Girlfriend breaks up with him. Goes to the bus stop. He walks in the bus stop, 12 p.m. Bus stop full of people. She's trying to get away from him. And he stabbed her so many times that the knife broke off inside of her. The actual witnesses thought that he was giving her love taps. He was hitting her so much with the knife.
Damn.
I go to trial because they're going to put him to sleep, and I have to have that conversation with a jury. So whenever you're on death, whenever they're trying to sentence you to death, your juvenile record and everything's good.
Okay.
And I'm telling this story to the jurors, And I'm talking to them about woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I almost choked up because I said, if I would have let that guy have it, we're not here.
Ooh, that's tough.
As a police officer, you got to learn to live with regrets. And if we
tough.
all had a do-over, we'd probably use it. And
damn.
goes life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
On that point, because I want to come back and get y'all's death penalty thoughts. Cases that stick out to you that you've seen on video. I brought up Tamir Rice. I know you guys have done a podcast. Of the ones that you can talk about, Mr. Cubit, I know if I see some of those videos in Oklahoma County when you're elected sheriff, shit's gonna change.
Well, one of the things I can promise you about this. I don't know, how, there's so many nuance to the details of each one of those cases. So I can't tell you how I ruled in this one or that one, but I can tell you this. I'll tell you what I think about it initially, which is a big no-no, I guess, in law enforcement now.
Because
you can be, because
sure.
there's
what
some
before
litigation and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So I want the information.
People's mental health plays in.
Yeah,
sure,
I want the information as soon as possible, and I want to share that information with their families and loved ones first, and then I want to get it out to the public. But give me room to change my mind, just like you're gonna have room to change your mind when more information comes out. But let me tell you the one that bothers me probably the most, which is and help me with the name.
The girl in Dallas that was in the window.
Yeah,
Tatiana Jefferson. Tatiana Jefferson.
That one's one.
Tatiana Jefferson. Excuse me.
Yes.
I studied African American studies, and so my dad being criminal justice, I don't want to go out and say a name and not be well versed. I get it. I totally get.
Yeah, mess up the name.
But damn, man, playing Nintendo 60 or playing video games at night.
That bothers me. The lady that hung herself after being arrested by the trooper in Texas.
Sandra Bland.
Yes, Sandra Bland. That one.
That's horrible.
That one really, really upset me.
Because she was a black woman and he got pissed off at a black woman. He snapped at a black woman.
She act like my sister.
I know it. My auntie.
She act like my sister.
Aunt Charlesetta. I didn't want to hear it, but it's her cigarette. She ain't
like,
got to put out her cigarette.
Dude, she ain't that mad. She ain't that mad.
Not
you tripping.
Yet.
You tripping.
She's
upset, but she ain't that mad. You tripping.
You on that
one. And so that one bothered me. Like the one you just mentioned in Dallas bothered me. But here's another one. That really bothers me is my man in Dallas in his own apartment, and where the Dallas female goes to the wrong floor.
The French guy.
French
name.
Jean. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, mess up the names. The docs all come together on the spot.
Right,
I'm just missing.
Right.
But yes, that one bothers me too.
Botham Jean. That's the name.
Botham Jean. Yes, Botham Jean. That one bothers me because it really plays into
privilege of cops.
The unconscious bias that plays into a lot of our decision making, right? And so she had a lot of unconscious bias really gets messed up when we try to intervene our unconscious bias. Like, so for instance, we have an automatic thought that comes to us about women, about old people, about blacks, about whites, whatever. We always have these automatic assumptions that jump into our head. But just because they come to our head doesn't necessarily mean we have to act on it.
Oh man.
Right? Doesn't mean we have to act on it. We can catch it, we can stop it, we can change it. But there's some things that kind of prevent us from catching it and stopping it. That's distractions, that's time, pressure, and there's time pressure, distractions, and one other thing. Here's what happens. And fatigue. Distractions, time pressure, and fatigue. She worked an extra long shift, 14 hours, maybe 16-hour shift. She's getting off work, and she's in a text conversation with her boyfriend or a friend or a coworker or whatever, that kind of stuff. She gets to her parking garage, and she misses her floor, the third floor. She drives up to the fourth floor. She gets out of her car. She's seeing the tops of trees, man, she ain't never seen before. But she didn't catch it because she's texting and she's tired. She gets in, goes to the door, and she's walking by the number 4, by 16, 12, 13, 14, 16 apartments, and she still hasn't noticed that she's seeing 4 in front of the apartment numbers, not 3s. She ain't noticed it. Then she stands on a doormat.
His was red, hers was
She
like
didn't have
black
nothing.
or something like that.
She didn't have anything.
Yeah.
Didn't pick that up. And just dumb fate, his door is ajar. where it's normally locked. Hers is locked. So she goes in, and there's a person immediately there that she does not know. She's thinking, and now she has time pressure. I got to make a decision real quick, blah, 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 blah. And I'm telling you, I'm not so sure she killed that man because he was black, but being black didn't help him at all.
Absolutely.
Right? You see what I'm saying? Because she checked all the boxes. She was tired. She was distracted. Right? And
that pressure hit.
And time pressure. The pressure hit her. Boom. All of those things. That man was not doing – that one bothers me. That one bothers me.
Yeah.
But, again, if we're not training on unconscious bias, if we're not trying to figure out how to interrupt those automatic assumptions that are built in our head, then and we don't have relationships to kind of thwart it off at the same time. Like we might have an assumption that comes up about white people, but if I have white friends, then I automatically go, wait a minute, that's not right. I know people that look like that and don't act like that. So why am I assuming that? And so you start giving them the benefit of the doubt. This is the things you were just talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Cases, Jermaine, and then do you – and I want you to input on this too. Black cop or a cop kills somebody. If it's cop and black person, whose shoes do you put yourself in? Do you put yourself in both people's shoes? Do you put yourself, hey, I'm still a black man behind this badge? Do you say, hey, I'm a cop, I would have done this? Is it seeing it from both angles? What you got?
Anything where someone was a martyr will always break my heart. Anything that the person probably didn't deserve to get killed, but as a result of him doing something wrong, even though it wasn't death sentence wrong, I'm not as quick to go, what the hell?
An Eric Gardner type, you saw him selling cigarettes or something like that, and then something like that.
If he's not breaking the law, the police officer doesn't show up.
Right.
So you have to be a martyr. But the Gene, an absolute martyr. I can't even even though the Cleveland shooting of the youngster was a horrible thing, Tamir Rice was still a big kid. The officer, and we talked about this, the officer driving the car is the reason that Tamir Rice is dead, because he didn't give the other officer enough time to get behind the car. And so there's so many. But, man, I got to say this because I don't want this to seem like it's cop bashing. We are unapologetically police officers when we're unapologetically black. And that's why the podcast was so needed, because we absolutely feel both's pain. And no one seems to want to see the other's understanding of what's going on. And that's really sad, because there are wrongs on both sides, but nobody wants to admit to any wrongdoing. One of the worst, the guy didn't even die, but it was South Carolina. Guy pulls the African-American driver over. He gets out of the car. He's doing everything. He says, do me a favor and get your license for me. Guy reaches back in his car to grab his license, and the officer shoots him 6 times. Guy turns around and goes, you told me to get my driver's license.
Yeah.
So even when I do right.
Yeah.
It's the same one on the
Philando Castile.
Yeah, Castile. Yeah, it's the same thing. So to answer your question, unapologetically police, unapologetically black. The problem, what makes this probably the hardest job in America, is that people ask this question of us all the time. What do you think about that particular shooting?
That's all the time.
Right?
I'm sorry.
All the time.
That's me.
Well, here's what you've asked us to do. You've asked us to place facts over people's pain. It don't matter how I'm going to answer that question. If I give you the facts, if I tell you our training tells us this, the circumstances led to that, blah, 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 blah. And yes, that equals textbook officer-involved shooting, officers in the right. I'm placing data and facts over somebody else's pain, right? And we can't win answering questions like that.
You're right. Dumb it down like this for me then. 2 more questions, because I know you guys are busy, you got popular. Dumb it down this way. How can you see a video and you know immediately the cop's wrong?
Oh, well, I would tell you Tulsa, Betty Shelby.
Oh, Terrence Crutcher. I had his lawyer on 2 weeks ago, DeMario Solomon Simmons.
Yeah.
Bless him. He's still supporting his sister, Tiffany Crutcher, going to court and all those things. So.
Yeah. Right off the top.
Her husband said he was a bad guy from a helicopter.
Didn't even know that was her husband until recently.
Oh, was that her husband?
That was
or
her
boyfriend,
husband.
or boyfriend, or
My
whatever.
man had X-ray vision or something. Even Superman sat in that same chair at Roy Williams. He knew he was a bad guy from a helicopter.
It was his assumption, was it not?
Big black guy.
He's a big, mean-looking black guy. His assumption, right? I didn't know that they share assumptions because they were family, right? But instantly, I think I instantly said, wow.
Why? What'd she do wrong?
Wow.
Just because she shot him because she wasn't instructing him? What happened?
There was a
Several
whole lot more.
breakdowns.
There was a whole lot more things.
It was
that happened.
OU's defense.
Okay, Listen,
That's the next question.
you can look at us and tell, like Bad Boys, like he's the Will Smith and I always get
Right,
the Martin.
right.
Like I want to talk people down. He wants to punch them out.
Straight up.
Right.
Man, I'm on the promotion list. I
know,
don't know what
but
he's
Seb
talking
just
about.
it's not literally. Not literally. Not
Okay,
literally.
okay.
But this is what happens. And even then, I'm going to fight before I shoot. That was a fighting circumstance. Yes, Mr. Crutcher
Wasn't listening.
The things that the wind was going, this was probably going to be physical. This is probably not going to look good on camera. This is probably going to be violent. And yes, it's probably going to be on the news. Right? But he'd be alive. He'd be alive.
Yeah.
Right? Or there will be a whole lot more scraps and blood and scratches and things before I articulate why I shot him or why I felt the need. We never even got a chance to do that. And that's not because she's a female. We have plenty females that would have taken the fight to him to be able to gain control and compliance, to be able to come out of that without somebody dying.
Yeah.
He was not giving the chance. And I haven't talked to any officer, male, female, black, or white, that agrees with the action she took.
That's real. Jermaine, death penalty thoughts. If you don't mind, can you hit on, you brought up Amber Geiger. Her sentence was 7 years, 9 years. Was that long enough? Is it an eye for an eye in your business? Just to tie all those loose ends for me.
It's got to be a totality of circumstances. Everybody can't be judged on one accord. What's the reason for this? And me and Cube actually talked about her in detail.
That was a good pod.
And the reality of it was she just wasn't a smart woman. She just didn't have the intellectual ability to be a police officer. Never should have been one based on so many things.
Is it, and I don't mean to cut you off, when it's time to draw that pistol, if it's first time, if it's second time, is there a different feeling? Is there, what goes through your mind? I could imagine, I don't know if I could pull that trigger. I don't know if I could get it out of my pocket.
Well, yeah. So we do some training, so we want to find out if you can or not. We want to do our best in training to find out if you're going to do what it takes to save a citizen's life or save your own. And we can't fabricate it, right, in training. The training does its best, right? But I can't have him.
First time he's shooting.
I can't have him.
In the middle of Oklahoma City. Oh, what?
Can't have him, need him to be able to back me up and rely on him to back me up and save my life if he himself have not committed in his brain that this is part of the job, that I'm going to have, somebody may rely on me one day to do this terrible thing. So everybody out there, I have to count on them to do it. If they say that to me on day one, I'm like, you need to think about this job. I can't promise you that you won't have to do that. I can't.
You ain't going to be behind the desk the whole time.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Any more comments, Jermaine? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I want to talk about the death penalty
please,
real quick
please,
because
please.
we actually talked about the death penalty the last show,
Yeah.
and I haven't even told you this yet. So I was in our podcast. I was talking about Sister Helen Prejean, who was the inspiration for the movie Dead Men Walking, and she was a nun, and I actually got to sit with her for several hours, and she actually talks to people on death row. That's what she does for a living, and she talks about something that's really sad. The victims of murder are the most ostracized people in the entire ordeal because nobody knows what to say.
Can't speak for the dead.
You can't. Well, you feel so sorry for them, you don't even want to be around them. So they have nothing other than what the courts will allow them. And me and Cube already know that for the most part, those victims, when watching or knowing that that person died, still don't feel any better. But so I said, I was all for the death penalty, and then I started backing up after seeing her, and then I started backing up after so many African Americans had been exonerated from death row, and my captain, My boss is an ex-homicide guy, and he said something that made me feel I'm waffling. Said something. He says, what you have to remember, Jermaine, I did homicide for 20 years. And yes, there were people that were taken off death row. But it's not because they didn't do it. It's because the process was screwed up somewhere. Woo. And that changed everything. I'm thinking people are
that
literally.
Doesn't change it for me. That doesn't change it for me. Because it's not true.
Go ahead.
Because it's not true.
Okay.
It's not true.
Okay.
Well, this is why you
Go ahead.
our
Yeah,
podcast
let's hear
is
it.
like
Let's hear it. Let's go.
It's not
That's
true,
man. You know
when
what?
they say when they go, DNA.
Nope.
He wasn't even there.
Yeah.
He didn't do it.
Cube, that is not the majority of the time.
If it
That is
happens
not the
one
majority
time,
of the
if it
time.
happens one time,
That's one time too many. 100%.
okay.
I'll go with that.
All right, that's
I'll
what
go
I'm
with
saying.
that.
So if it happens,
there needs to be
to figure out a way.
There needs to be an absolute. There needs to be an absolute before you decide you're going to take a man's
that's
life.
real.
And some things
Period.
aren't absolutes.
Yeah.
Hold him in there until you guys figure it out. And if you never figure it out,
Then
leave
he
him
doesn't
alone.
never die.
So are we?
Then he should never die.
Man, don't
We're back.
start.
That's a
We're
good
back.
one, though.
Domesticating on another man's
Hey, I like
podcast,
it,
man.
Hey, while we amped up, let's talk some football. Let's talk
Well,
some
let me
football.
finish this.
Go ahead.
Let me
Go
finish
ahead.
this.
Go ahead.
I am absolutely and have always been for the death penalty. I am not for the system in which we use to arrive at it. Okay?
Okay.
Better
But
system.
it's the only system we have.
It's the only
And
system
there's
we
always
got.
going to be.
So-
Anytime a human
Yeah.
is involved, there's going to be the margin of human error.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything.
Well, I don't know. We can do better.
One thing that just really shook me is the victims of those murdered don't feel any better, and if anything, you want them to feel better.
Well,
to
I was
receive
just
some
with
sort of, and
I
keep
was-
them away from society because we don't need anybody else to get killed.
I asked.
But that was
We should save this for. But listen, you brought it up.
No, you good. Good.
I talked to a victims homicide support group this past week, and I said, forgive me, but I got to ask this question. Unsolved cold case. I asked the mother of a man that was killed 8 years ago. Cold case. Said, why are you so intent on finding the killer of your son? Because it's cold.
Ain't gonna bring him back.
We don't have. It ain't gonna bring him back. Why is that? She looked at me with tears in her eyes and she said, "It would give me freedom. It would give me freedom."
Real.
I look at every young man at around my son's age and wonder if he was in that place that night. If he was there, was he a witness? Did he do it? Does he know? I cannot go anywhere without the freedom that would give me. Okay. Now,
no.
Let's go.
No,
Let's
yeah.
go.
JD, have
Yeah.
you ever had a family member murdered? Because I know
It
you.
would have been a distant.
Okay.
Distant. But
There is nothing-
uncle. Yeah.
There's
yeah.
nothing in the world
Yeah.
like murder. It's not cancer. It's not a traffic accident. It's not
There.
No,
It's done.
and as a man, you want some get back. I don't care how.
That's real.
Murder's hard to digest, bro.
You know what? I have one of my best friends. He was stabbed. He actually was stabbed over in Texas. I think he unfortunately wasn't living right. But yeah, that shit hurt. And
Murder's
it
hard
was,
to die.
and it was hard too because his face swole up. They did an open casket. He got stabbed right here, and I mean, we couldn't even recognize him. And I mean, yeah. So I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Just hearing that initial, my childhood homie, regardless of what the circumstances were. If I want to go. Where we at? Where's the shit? Where's this? What's out of it? You know?
Yeah.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
I'm not a gang member. Like
Just imagine. Not to say
Yeah.
that he's still a victim, but he put himself in a precarious situation. Just imagine. Like, I don't want to put your personal business, but my man's grandfather working and gets robbed and murdered.
Yeah.
Man, that's hard to digest. So whatever's going to make people
unsolved, by the way.
unsolved.
That's
yeah.
unsolved.
So,
tough.
okay.
Right here
enough
on the
with
east
that.
side.
Enough
Okay.
Right here.
Yes. It's OU football. Is you return? Are you going to be able to recruit us some DBs when you become sheriff? Are you going to be able to recruit us some D linemen? Do you have any connections at LSU?
Man, so I always said this. I've always said this, and I believe, not being a football guy, I'm a football fan guy. You're a football guy,
Right.
I'm a football fan guy, but nobody could be a better recruiter than I could be. I think I could go get any player in this country and get OU a serious look just on what I know.
What's your strategy?
Yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
know. I gotta know at least something.
I am a, first of all, I'm a master mentor.
Okay.
Which means I know how to build rapport and build relationships faster than most men can blink.
Fair.
right? And ain't nobody gonna ever come anywhere until you're able to build a relationship and find out what they care about and who they care about. And that I am able to adopt that care and make sure that our program will pick up where mama and everybody else that loves that person left off.
That's real.
Right? I can do that.
I'm gonna call Lincoln for you after the show.
All right.
You should.
All right. Okay.
Jermaine, what you got football wise? Do we stand a chance in SEC? Do we really want those problems with Clemson?
Me and you talked about this when you came before we actually got on air, and it's was it Keith Jackson? No, not Keith Jackson. Who got fired back in the 80s for saying this? Somebody got fired back in the 80s for talking about the African American athlete.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy the
how
Greek.
it was him and Howie Cosell said something or somebody running down
after that.
Wasn't Jimmy?
It was somebody got. Well, Barry Switzer actually said it too in Bootleg.
Okay.
Boy.
Did he really?
He's like, this.
We're gonna have a hard time. We're gonna have a hard time if we can't get. And it's on the defensive side. Everybody wants to go to the Big 12 if you're a receiver or a running back or a quarterback, because they're going to throw that rock and you're going to go to the NFL. As far as DBs and defensive linemen, we're going to have to go down south. And until we can figure out, and you know this way better than me, I actually feel a little inferior for actually commenting on this, but we're going to have some kind of rapport with some people down south to get them to come to the University of Oklahoma.
You right about that?
And the state of Oklahoma just isn't a sexy place to be for
You right about that? We don't have the conference allegiance. We don't have the loyalties with some of those high schools down there. Mm-hmm. We don't, quite frankly, drop bags off like some of these schools do. I mean, let's be real. They oh, yeah, play that machine. Play this slot machine. Oh, okay, you're signing with Mississippi State, right? Okay, good deal. Right. All right.
My mom is poor. She can't make it to these games all the way up here. Yeah, how are we going to get mama and cousins and uncles? How are we going to get them to the games? And
you know, Rufus is from Louisiana. He said one of the most friendly places he went was Ole Miss. He said you just meet people at lunch to say, hey, what'd you need? Does your family need anything? You da-da-da-da. I mean, I love OU, but we ain't like that. And, you know, bottom line, you're right, the guys in the South, the defensive tackles, the defensive ends, the linebackers are at Georgia, Florida, LSU, Alabama. Those guys that are tackling our guys are from about 4 or 5 states, and they ain't going nowhere. And what you see and what you guys see on a daily basis, it's funny. How many kids do y'all see that's going to the NBA?
Around here?
Yeah.
None.
Yeah, well, it's, that tell you they're going to the NBA.
Oh,
everybody. 80%.
All of them, right?
80, 85%.
Well, the deal about it is those kids in Louisiana and Georgia are telling you that they're going to the NFL, and they mean it. And they're actually doing the things. They're around the people that, hey, this kid's the next one. By the time you're in 4th grade, you need to be playing against 6th grade. By the time you're in 7th, you need to be playing against the 9th. By the time you're in 9th, you need to be playing against the 12th. So those guys are there. And Rufus also talked about how they bring back their former players and have them as analysts, run them at camps and blah, blah, blah. So you're not missing kids. C.D. Lamb. Dude, Orgeron's like, oh, yeah, C.D. Lamb was a guy. He's from Louisiana. I don't know how we let him get out of here. C.D. Lamb was born in Louisiana. They knew that. Right? Yeah. He moved over to Houston, and Orgeron is sitting there telling you that we should have not let this kid move out of. He moved in elementary.
Right.
You knew about what? You know about this guy. We should have never let this guy get out of the state. And again, and then when you start doing these roster breakdowns, and you see that LSU has out of 100 kids on their roster, 60 are from Louisiana.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah.
And then you got in Oklahoma where 40 of your guys are from Texas and only 20 are from Oklahoma. And if you aren't getting the top from Texas and the top from Oklahoma, when you go down and play them boys, you're going to get blown out.
You can see it.
You can see it.
You saw that LSU game. You saw
those were some men.
You saw grown men.
I'm talking they're third stringers. Some of them could have come and played for us.
I'm going to tell you, recruiting, I don't know, the recruiters that they have now are probably all former athletes.
From
wherever.
Okay.
Wherever school. They're just using, you know, the gifts and talents and stuff like that. But recruiting is a sales job.
Yes, sir.
That's a sales job.
Yes, sir.
Right? If you got good product and Oklahoma has good product, you just need a good salesperson to be out there. It's not always the athlete that does it. Rethink it. Make it a business. Rethink it. And go down there and get those kids.
Highest bidder.
Go down there and get those kids.
Real talk. Well, one more question. I know I said the last one, but let's end it with this, okay? I want you to pretend, even if it's my son, he won't want me to be a cop, but he says he might want it, whatever.
Let's go.
There's a young African-American male out there. He's thinking about being in law enforcement. Talk to him. Why should he? What should he focus on in school? What's his goals? If I were him, I would get around you two. I would find you guys on Facebook and Twitter and learn from you every step of the way.
Right.
What's he need to do?
Yeah. So there's so many things. I want them to just kind of be them, right? Don't change who you are. Keep your eye on who's doing it well, right?
Stay out of trouble.
Stay out of trouble.
That's a big one.
Stay out of trouble. And so there's a whole lot of ways to stay out of trouble. And it's about who you hang around with, who you're patterning your life after, listening to your parents, looking at your grandparents, that type of thing. General education, like there's some criminal justice classes you can take. We're not picking you up till 21 years old, right? So there's all kinds of things and kind of work that you can be doing to kind of hone your skill and kind of get you ready for that. There's ride-alongs that you can do with officers, those type of things.
Yeah, you can't just watch Law and Order, and you ain't gonna get
no,
on Law and
no,
Order.
No,
now, you can have your favorite
cop shows.
TV
You gotta stay away from.
Okay, now what should their top 3 cop shows be? First 48 should be one.
First 48's good.
First 48 is probably the only one.
You may need to go back to New York Undercover, give some Malik Yoba some love.
Every cop, like this was my test. This was my test. If they didn't watch, what was the HBO special?
The Wire.
The Wire.
Oh,
Shit's the
man.
greatest show ever.
If they didn't watch
greatest
The Wire,
show ever.
If
you don't know who Bonk is, if you don't know who Lester is,
when they were applying for a job to work with me, and I just name a couple of characters off The Wire or ask them, and they're like, I don't know. It's like, I don't want.
You
can't
need to
hire
be able to quote.
Can't hire
series. You need to be able to quote if you're Bunk.
Season 1, season 2, season 3.
My name is my name.
That's my name.
My name is my name.
Oh, give him a workout.
Jay, that's what I do.
Yeah.
That's my current assignment. Is just no, we don't go like those boys.
Right.
But I watched it a second time because I've only been in this unit 2 years, and it makes so much more sense, and it's so cooler now because we do the same, almost identical stuff, and I'm like, it's even better when you watch it the second time.
So you got
any good scenes?
I was gonna say, give me your best before you go. Give me your best character and best scene.
So what's the Scar?
Omar.
Omar goes in to rob.
I say these full. What do you say? I say these two.
They gambling. They gambling. These 2 nines be the full house. All that stuff. And then he asked the boy for his watch.
Yeah. And these 4 5s be the full house. That's what
he said. That's what he said.
And dude is not. He said, "You got my
watch on."
You don't. No. Because he had to tell him twice.
Tell him twice.
Yeah. You must
not
know who I am.
No. He said, "You got me mistaken for a man that
says something twice." Yes.
He said, "Money ain't got
no name.
Just spenders.
Owners.
Yeah, just owners.
Money ain't got no spenders, just owners.
Just owners. That's right.
Man,
there's so many. Like he put that tie on in court. Man, I'm going back and watch it this weekend.
I robs drug dealers.
I just finished it like 2 weeks ago.
Did you
really?
Yeah.
The second
There's
time,
only one bad season, but you have to have that season.
Yeah.
For the
to
rest
tie
of
it
them.
in.
There's a slow season in there. I think it's
2 or 3.
Season 2, I think maybe it's real slow.
Like
but you had to have
how the characters.
You had to have it. Yeah, but you had to have it.
What you got, Jermaine? Favorite character? Favorite scene?
Favorite character is Michael.
Okay, Michael's a beast, man.
Is Michael the kid?
Michael's the kid.
The boxer.
The boxer.
The
tough kid.
Yeah.
And the dope boys see that he's got some dog in him, but he's trying to be a good kid.
Big paws on a little pup.
Big paws on a little pup.
Yeah.
And when he's sitting there, and you guys aren't even going to remember this part because it didn't seem like that big of a deal. The crooked cop that's beating him up all the time, it's always harassing him.
Herc.
No.
Mixed kid?
No. He's only in
the
on the
white
show
dude.
once.
The
No, he's a
white
black
guy. Black guy.
He's only on the
Chase
show
him, throw him
once.
against the wall.
Yeah. He broke one of the kid's fingers.
Yep.
So we got to do something with this kid. So Michael comes out and
after they threw the pissy balloons on him.
They threw the pissy balloons on him, Trace to the alley. Michael grabs the gun.
Yeah.
And they get on your knees, and the cops trying to reach for his gun, and Michael shoots one over the air across his like a up high
shot,
and then tells him, "You won't hear the next
That's
one."
real.
Man.
Yeah. Yes,
but
sir,
when Michael killed old girl,
he gave him the one.
When Michael
You
killed
look
old
good, girl.
Snoop, you look good. How's my hair?
My hair
She killed
look
Snoop.
look good, girl.
But when he said, "You won't hear the next one," because that's who he was. Like Michael was a kid that didn't talk all that corner boy talk. He just
he needed to.
He was just about that action.
But could you not go back and look at the trauma
Absolutely.
that kid?
Yeah.
Everything about him is amazing.
everything was so
That's
real.
just
Around the house.
That's just brilliant
Yeah.
writing by police officers and corner boys.
What about his
Helped
homeboy?
produce
What
that
about his
movie, that
homeboy
show.
that stayed with the foster mom?
Dookie, or not Dookie, you talking about with the braids. You
With
gonna
the
help me
braids.
now? You gonna help
You
me?
gonna help me?
You gonna help me now?
Mr. Perez,
Oh,
you got me?
Dog,
Oh,
that's
man.
the hardest one.
Oh,
That's a little Mike.
You're a
every time-
teacher, so you know this was
Oh
a-
yeah,
this was-
yeah. And they burned his house. They threw the bottles and burned his house down. His mom because they
Oh,
saw
man.
him leaving the house.
I miss it so much. I gotta go back to The Wire.
No, I just finished it.
It's really good. It's really good.
I'm a Marlowe guy. I'm a Marlo
Marlo.
guy.
Marlo's
He's
pretty
just
cool.
too powerful.
I was actually JD. My name is my name. What did he say about me?
Yeah.
He's just talking. My name is my name, and that really means something because we talk to kids all the time about your last name, and you represent more than just your first name. And when he said my name is my name, even though it was some corner boy dope stuff, it still had substantive value to it. Like this is my name.
Yeah.
Don't poop on my name.
There was when he goes back, when he gets out of jail and robs the guy, and he says he wants to just feel it, and and then he gets into form. It's almost like he's a superhero. He can't leave the streets. There's so many. It's like you said, the writing.
The writing is
What
just
about Omar? What about Omar walking to the store, and they just throwing the
just
dope
to get
him?
a box of cereal.
And they just throwing the dope to him.
And then
he ain't got to do nothing.
Yeah,
his
he
name
just drops it out.
Is his name. His reputation
that's it.
does it all for
That's
him,
it.
man. Yeah.
And then when he gets killed, I mean, you're just like, all these people he's
kid,
taking out.
a youngster.
All these people he's taking out. And then the
little dude
rich.
got it.
You like, this dude runs the hood now. But until Mike Mike does his thing. And then lastly, when they find out who's the narc, I mean, that, because you just finished it. There was one of the cops that was in with the Greeks.
Which was
So have you not seen it? The white dude? It's not McNulty.
Oh, the old dude.
No. You've seen him in a bunch of them. The white dude with the bald head. I can't think of his name. He walked in on the.
He was working at the governor. Yeah, he was with the governor.
Walked in on
Okay,
the
yeah.
governor.
Whoa! I don't remember this.
Yeah, he was in with because he kept giving them the in and out when they were getting raided. That's how they found out. You'll have to watch one of the last episodes, but he's the narc because he was raised in the Greek house. You know what I'm talking about though. He's friends with the light skinned, the mixed guy.
He walked in on the
politician getting one.
I had no idea that he. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
But no, awesome show. This is gonna be an awesome podcast for you all out there. You got to watch The Wire. Thank you guys. Look, I know I said the last thing. 1,100 cops. Only 60 black in Oklahoma City.
About 60.
Do we need more? You guys are honored Black History Month. You deserve to be celebrated. We need more of us.
He didn't finish when he talked about what do you say to a young African American. What you want to tell him is you want to tell him to stay out of trouble, which is a very difficult process because while in Rome, people generally do as Romans. So you need to attach yourself to a mentor. So African American males that want to be police officers need to attach themselves to a mentor, even if that mentor is a police officer. I don't care if he's white, black, whatever. Mm-hmm. When you are drowning in quicksand, I don't give a damn who throws the rope out.
I like that.
That's one. Your credit. African Americans have never been told about credit. You mean you're going to give me this card and I can go buy all the J's I want and I can pay it back when I get it? That is an automatic disqualifier. Because if you can't take care of your credit, man, we do busts with hundreds and thousands of dollars. We can't trust you if you have problems with your finances. Tickets, tattoos, as of right now, don't get anything below the elbow. I don't want to say that. That doesn't sound
While you think of it, I just talked to my kids about credit card interest. We're talking to 7th graders about it, man. Just the importance of avoiding those things.
They never talked to us.
Debt, buying cars, guys. My car's $300. Yeah, what, Coach JD? What? Yeah, but I like going to Vegas an awful lot, and it's expensive.
Right.
So the last thing I'm gonna do is spend it on an expensive car when I can go out there and spend my money and enjoy myself, drink with these beautiful women all around, and okay.
That's why you're needed, because an African American kid, the most important thing in the hood,
car, them rims.
Before that, your shoes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your kicks, your J's. That's your car, right? And then you get a little money, real. And now you're trying to floss because you're poor and you're trying to show somebody that you're more than. Man, that's a whole nother
So I'm going to give away
Thanks.
6 pair of shoes this summer, right here. Jammin' Hoops Fest. Everybody look me up. You'll follow if you follow me on Instagram, Fact Mentoring 1235. I'll be posting all about that. But I'm gonna give away 6 pair of tennis shoes every summer. We always do.
Drop your website again, Future Sheriff.
CubitForSheriff.com and on Facebook at Cubit for Sheriff. Hit me up, follow, donate.
Yes, we need to. And don't just think, hey, the donations, he's trustworthy.
Yeah.
I'll just say it for him. You talked about your donations will just lead to more shoes. They ain't going to lead to more J's for him. I ain't never even seen you wear J's.
Right. No, I'm actually kind of overdressed today.
Okay,
been
that's
to church.
But no, man, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
Best wishes on everything, and go vote for Mr. Cubit.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
man.
We'll back
Appreciate it.
you.